When the impoverished Shen Ming ordered me to give his little childhood sweetheart 30,000 yuan every month, otherwise he wouldn't accept my sponsorship, I knew he had also been reborn. In my previous life, I poured money and resources into making him the richest man in Asia, but he thought he was born to be a domineering CEO. He even condescendingly threatened me, "I'm only giving you this one chance. Miss it, and even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work." I immediately stopped his card, bought him a bottle of sleeping pills, and let him be the richest man in his dreams every day. During the big break, Gu Jingqing came to ask me for money, hugging his little childhood sweetheart. He slapped the note with the bank card number on the table and then ordered me, "From now on, you transfer 30,000 yuan of living expenses to Warner's account every month." Suddenly, the people around cast strange glances. They probably had never seen such an arrogant impoverished student asking someone for money without even a word of explanation. I was so angry that I laughed. "Why should I?" He turned around, with an expression of "How dare you question me," and sneered, "It's just 30,000 yuan, do you still need a reason? 30,000 yuan can't even buy one of my ties." He raised his chin and was about to fasten his tie, but what he was wearing wasn't some high-end custom-made suit, but a sweatshirt bought online for 500 yuan. Gu Jingqing had been President Gu for too long in his previous life and had actually forgotten that he used to be an impoverished student with less money in his pocket than on his face. In my previous life, I spent money and resources to forcefully make him the richest man in Asia, but he thought he was born to be President Gu. He was used to bossing around his subordinates on weekdays and always spoke to me in a tone of notice and command. But without me, what was he? 30,000 yuan for a tie? Are you daydreaming, Gu Jingqing? Before I sponsored you, you couldn't even afford a 10 yuan boxed meal. I coldly laughed and crumpled the note into a ball, casually throwing it into the trash can. Also, why should I give her living expenses? I'm not her mother. Gu Jingqing's face turned livid, just as he was about to get angry. Song Xiaowan, his little childhood sweetheart, blocked him protectively like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Su Ranran, how can you be so vicious? 30,000 yuan is nothing to you, but it's the living expenses for me and brother Gu for a month. Your family is so rich, helping us is only natural. Is it necessary to humiliate us like this? After saying that, she herself cried grievously, "Brother Gu, even if my mother and I end up on the streets, I won't allow you to put down your dignity and beg her for my sake." Seeing the little childhood sweetheart who was bullied to tears by me, that vicious woman, Gu Jingqing was so that he quickly pulled her into his arms and comforted her softly. In the previous life, Song Xiaowan donated a kidney to him. He thought that was true love and also regarded me as a stumbling block on the road of their relationship, but in fact, I paid a high price for that kidney. Song Xiaowan raised the price at the last moment before the operation to extort me, which was why the two of them had a chance to meet again. Gu Jingqing embezzled public funds to buy her a villa, luxury cars, and pay off her mother's huge gambling debts. I endured it. I don't stop the reborn Gu Jingqing from rekindling his relationship with her, but he actually wants to continue spending my money to repay Song Xiaowan for the kindness of a kidney. Why? Do I look like a big fool? I was so angry that I laughed instead. I took out my phone to notify the school to withdraw the sponsorship for Gu Jingqing. Unexpectedly, he took the initiative to say, "Su Ranran, if you don't give her the money, then I don't want your sponsorship either." What kind of threatening tone is this? It seems that his acceptance of my sponsorship is a charity to me, and he also wants me to be grateful. I was really blind in my previous life. How could I like a pretentious man like him who has no destiny of being a domineering CEO but is full of the domineering CEO disease? I found the remittance records I gave him in the past 2 years and endured the nausea. Gu Jingqing, if you're a man with a bit of backbone, return the money you spent of mine. I'll give you a discount. It's a total of 800,000 yuan, 800,000 yuan. I'll pay you back 8 million yuan in 10 years. Gu Jingqing sneered disdainfully and continued to threaten me. However, Su Ranran, listen up. I'm only giving you this one chance. Miss it, and even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work. I racked my brains but couldn't figure out where his honeydew confidence came from. Could he really think that after he topped the Forbes rich list in 10 years, he could just move his fingers and make my family go bankrupt? It's ridiculous. Does he really think he became the richest man by his own strength? Little does he know that it was all because of my family that he was promoted, provide raw materials, technical support, and connections to a dog, and the dog could also become the richest man. Not only does he not feel grateful, but he also fantasizes that I have to fawn over him like those sycophants, looking at his sinister-looking face as if he was saying, if you don't fawn over me, I'll make you look good in 10 years. I rolled my eyes big time. I found someone to freeze his sponsorship card and wrote an IOU of 800,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing stamped his handprint stubbornly and viciously threw down a harsh word at me. Don't you ever regret it, then hugged his childhood sweetheart and turned around to leave. I regret it. I regret raising this wide-eyed wolf in my previous life. And I'm even more afraid that he'll go back on his word and come to pester me again. ###2. After school, I called the driver to pick me up. Just as I opened the car door, I was pushed hard from behind. I stumbled. If it weren't for a kind-hearted passer-by who helped me, I would have fallen heavily to the ground. Holding back my anger, I fixed my eyes and saw that it was Gu Jingqing. He was pushing the tearful Song Xiaowan into the car, and then he got in himself. The moment he closed the car door, he didn't forget to order me. Wanner's mother was beaten into the hospital by the debt collectors. The situation is not good. You take a taxi back. Then he turned around and ordered the driver, go to the hospital. The driver uncle looked at him like he was a fool, and without saying a word, took out his phone to call the police. Gu Jingqing angrily kicked the back of the passenger seat hard. If you delay Aunt Song's condition, you can't afford the consequences. The driver uncle calmly took pictures of his criminal evidence, then turned off the engine and got out of the car. Directly locking the two of them in the car, two lunatics suddenly broke into the car, damaged the leather seats, and scared my young lady. I've controlled the two of them. Please, police comrades, come out immediately. I burst out laughing and folded my arms, watching Gu Jingqing show off his domineering CEO air in the car. Sure enough, without me, he was nothing. Song Xiaowan was crying anxiously in the car, which made Gu Jingqing extremely. He took a deep breath and turned to look at me, looking like a warrior sacrificing his dignity for love. Su Ran. I can accept your sponsorship, but don't fantasize that I'll like you. I don't want Brother Gu to sacrifice so much for me. Song Xiaowan pointed at my nose and cursed. Su Ran, you actually used such despicable means to force Brother Gu to be with you. Don't even think about it. I will never allow you to humiliate Brother Gu's dignity with money again. Stop talking, Wanner. For you, I'm willing to do anything. Me. Does anyone care about my life? I just funded a poor student to repay society. What's wrong with me? Besides, I didn't like Gu Jingqing until 3 years later. Why do the two of them act like star-crossed lovers who have been separated? At this time, the police uncle came and directly invited the two of them out. Gu Jingqing's face was dark as he stared at me and asked, Su Ran, what do you mean, using this way to attract my attention? You're so childish. I gestured towards my head to the police uncle and whispered, they're mentally ill. It's recommended to send them to the hospital directly. Then, I smiled and told Gu Jingqing, it doesn't mean anything. I just asked the police uncle to send you two to the hospital. The police uncle looked at them suspiciously, dressed shabbily but acting so arrogant and looking down on everyone. They really didn't seem normal. You two want to go to the hospital? Yes, the police uncle suddenly understood. Oh, then get in the car, I'll take you there. As for which hospital they were sent to, I have no idea. Just in the middle of the night when I woke up, seeing 56 missed calls and 99 plus WeChat messages from Gu Jingqing, I knew they didn't go to a proper hospital. Half an hour ago, the last text message Gu Jingqing sent me was, answer my call within 3 minutes, or else bear the consequences. He was having another bout of domineering CEO disease again. I yawned and directly turned off my phone to sleep. ###3. The next day, during the school sports meeting, when I went to the cafeteria to carry water, I saw Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan having a meal. I heard that the two of them were locked up in the psychiatric department for a whole night, and finally the school came forward to bail them out. The monitor quietly came up to my ear and complained, I thought they were quite normal before. How did they suddenly get sick? Last night, Gu Jingqing called all the classmates in the class, saying that he was the future richest man. As long as they could gather 500 yuan to ransom him now, he would repay them 100 times in 10 years. This is even more overstep than the last time when the first emperor called to appoint me as a general in a telecom fraud. I sprayed out a mouthful of water directly, so there were more victims than I expected. Last night, my dad and all the managers in the company whose names I could remember received calls from Gu Jingqing. He said he had a cooperation project that was sure to make a fortune, as long as they could get him out of the psychiatric department. My dad was so scared that he held an emergency meeting with Panda Eyes in the morning, speculating whether a hacker had leaked the company's secrets. Otherwise, how could a lunatic call their internal phone numbers? This really can't be blamed on Gu Jingqing. He was an orphan since he was a child and had no relatives to rely on. He finally had a little childhood sweetheart, but her mother was a gambling addict. The two of them had no money at all, so of course they had to target the people around me. This life, I don't want to have any more dealings with them. I wanted to leave, but the monitor excitedly pulled me back, motioning for me to continue watching the show. Gu Jingqing was having another bout of illness again. He held a glass of orange juice in his hand and kept shaking it like he was shaking red wine. Looking at the 15 yuan steak in front of him, a sarcastic arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. This kind of trash also dares to be called food. Throw it on the ground, and even a dog won't eat it. Brother Gu, I know you look down on this kind of cheap stuff, but you've been hungry for a day. You should at least eat something. Gu Jingqing snorted coldly. Even if I starve to death, this kind of trash doesn't deserve to enter my stomach. The cafeteria owner who was frying the steak had a hot temper. He chopped a knife on the chopping block. You two used a coupon to order the cheapest steak here. It's okay to ask me to give an extra serving of spaghetti, but you're still being picky. Eat if you can, and get out if you can't. What kind of status do you have to talk to me like this? Believe it or not, I can make your store close down with just one phone call. Song Xiaowan anxiously tried to persuade him. Brother Gu, don't be like this. Their small business is not easy either. The monitor, who had been watching the show the whole time, pinched his thigh hard, but still couldn't help laughing. This laugh didn't matter, and it successfully attracted Gu Jingqing's attention. The moment he looked at me, the hairs on his arms suddenly stood up. I didn't even have time to carry the mineral water. I turned around and ran, but unfortunately, I still didn't escape. I was blocked at the end of the corridor by Gu Jingqing, who was red-eyed and with his hands on his hips. Su Ran, you can't afford the price of angering me. I looked up at the sky speechlessly. What kind of sin had I committed to suffer this inhumane torture? What, are you jealous when you see me with Wanner? You came up with this way to take revenge on me. Su Ran, this is all you're capable of. However, I advise you to save it and put away those little tricks to seduce me. I've already made a private engagement with Wanner. It's absolutely impossible for me to be with you. Stay away from us two in the future. If I find out that you have any improper thoughts again, I won't let you go. I tried hard to recall how I fell in love with Gu Jingqing in my previous life. At that time, he wasn't the key person my family was cultivating. There were many people who were more outstanding and promising than him. But I just thought Gu Jingqing was different and extraordinary. Now I find that he's really not a normal person. I interrupted his confident speech and mercilessly exposed him. You're really smart to use this way to skip the bill. Don't think I didn't notice that Gu Jingqing secretly stuffed several pieces of beef into his mouth. He staged such a big show because he didn't have the money to pay for the meal and didn't want to lose face. The cafeteria has a rule that poor students can wash dishes to offset the meal cost, but how could Gu Jingqing, who had been the richest man for a lifetime, lower his face to wash dishes in the back kitchen? Of course, he would push it all to Song Xiaowan to do, and I was just the best tool person for him to skip the bill. Gu Jingqing, whose thoughts were exposed by me, became angry from embarrassment and punched the wall behind me. I kindly reminded him, there are surveillance cameras here. Dare to touch a single hair of mine, and the money you owe me will double. In 10 years, don't talk about 10 years, you won't even last 10 days before you starve to death. My naked sarcasm completely hurt Gu Jingqing's sensitive and fragile self-esteem. He let go of me and, in extreme anger, laughed instead. Then let's wait and see. ###4. The school sports meeting was undoubtedly the best opportunity for Gu Jingqing to turn things around. On this day, the school would invite business tycoons to visit. Every poor student would actively participate in the competitions. If they performed well, they would be selected to get the opportunity to be sponsored. Gu Jingqing was the long-distance running champion every year, and his academic performance was always in the top 3 in the school. Soon, he attracted the attention of a real estate tycoon. The head teacher immediately pulled Gu Jingqing over and praised him to the skies. Mr. Li, This classmate Gu is a top-notch student who can definitely get into Tsinghua University. Sponsoring him is definitely the right choice. In the previous life, Gu Jingqing did get into Tsinghua University, but he wasn't a good student, but a disaster, the kind that whoever gets involved with him will have bad luck. Mr. Li nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. From now on, our company will sponsor you 5,000 yuan per month until you graduate from university. 5,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing's face immediately fell. Are you humiliating me with 5,000 yuan? Classmate, 5,000 yuan is not a small amount. It's enough for your daily expenses at school. He looked down his nose and sneered sarcastically. The real estate industry is in decline and doesn't have much room for development in the future. I reluctantly accept your sponsorship, but you only give me 5,000 yuan. How can I form a team and do research in the future? I'm different from those poor students who just muddle along and stretch out their hands for money. In the future, I'm going to lead the team to the top of international technology. If you can't afford to sponsor me, then make way for others. After saying that, regardless of Mr. Li's face turning purplish with anger, he turned around and left. The head teacher was furious and called out to him, Gu Jingqing. He turned around, with his hands in his pockets. In the future, don't recommend companies in sunset industries like this to me. The people who sponsor me should at least have a net worth higher than Su Ranran's parents. I will review their qualifications one by one. Those who don't meet the standards have no right to sponsor me. His words made Mr. Li extremely angry. No matter how the principal and the head teacher apologized, he firmly refused to sponsor the poor students in our school anymore. This also directly implicated two other innocent classmates. The twin sisters who had grown up with their grandparents since childhood were so excited that they cried when they heard that a company was willing to sponsor them to go to college, but because of Gu Jingqing's actions, the opportunity was gone, and the two sisters squatted on the ground crying bitterly. I couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward to comfort them. It doesn't matter. Su's group is willing to sponsor you. Really? Is 10,000 yuan per person per month enough? No. No, that's too much. 2,000 yuan for the two of us per month is enough. The two sisters knelt on the ground and kowtowed to me. Thank you, my sister, and I will definitely repay your great kindness after we graduate from college. Look, there are still grateful people in the world. After the school sports meeting, the class held a dinner party. As two penniless parasites, it was no surprise that they came to freeload. Gu Jingqing didn't pay a single cent but sat in the main seat. Being picky about everything, the decoration was bad, the service was bad, and the dishes were bad. He might as well have written the word disdain on his face. The head teacher and the classmates were almost annoyed to death by them. During the day, Gu Jingqing not only angered an investor but also made our class lose 2 medals that we should have won. The reason was that Song Xiaowan fell while doing the long jump and scraped her knee. Gu Jingqing, who was still participating in the relay long-distance race, suddenly threw away the relay baton, picked up Song Xiaowan, and rushed into the infirmary. He even threatened the school doctor, "If you can't cure her, I'll hold you accountable." Seeing that we all ignored him, Gu Jingqing, who was used to being the center of attention, couldn't sit still. He poured the beer he had taken a sip of directly into the grilled fish plate in front of him. Then tapped his fingers on the table and coldly asked, "Who chose this place? The taste is so bad." Gu Jingqing knew very well that this restaurant was owned by my family and was deliberately trying to make things difficult for me. The monitor couldn't stand it anymore and retorted, "Classmate Gu, we all think this place is very good. Do you have any dissatisfaction?" "Good," Gu Jingqing sneered. "Have you ever seen a really good restaurant? It's a pity that you'll never get to see it in your life." Song Xiaowan also chimed in, "Some people are just born with a poor and shabby fate. Brother Gu, don't argue with them. They'll never be able to catch up with you in their lives." One was bragging hard, and the other was flattering hard. The two of them were really a match made in heaven. I held down the monitor's hand, which was shaking with anger, and smiled. The future richest man surely doesn't need us poor people to chip in for the meal, right? Then, I'll trouble the richest man to pay the bill for today's class dinner. I put the bill in front of him, and Gu Jingqing took a look but didn't say anything. I immediately exclaimed, 3,000 yuan is nothing to classmate Gu, right? Not to mention 3,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing couldn't even find 30 yuan on him. He knew I was deliberately belittling him. But for the sake of his richest man face, he took the bill and went out, dragging Song Xiaowan beside him. when they came back, the heirloom jade pendant around Song Xiaowan's neck was gone. She glared at me viciously, as if I was the one who had sold her heirloom to show off. Just then, a group of uninvited guests burst into the party, ###5. Without saying a word, they grabbed Song Xiaowan and dragged her out. Judging from their appearance and attire, they looked like hooligans, and they were swearing foully. "Your mother owes us usury. If you don't pay it back today, don't blame us brothers for being rude. That's what my mother owes you. Go find her. I'm just a student. I don't have any money." Song Xiaowan's face turned pale with fright, and she tightly grabbed the table corner, refusing to let go. After all, they were classmates. Several boys in the class wanted to save her, but they were forced back by the hooligans brandishing knives. The leader of the hooligans waved Song Xiaowan's student ID in front of her and said that her mother had escaped from the hospital that morning. Before leaving, she left a letter saying that the daughter should pay off the mother's debt and that she was giving Song Xiaowan to them to pay off the debt. I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, Song Xiaowan sold her kidney and even blackmailed me. Presumably, she was also forced by her mother. However, a poor person must have something hateful about them. She should never have killed me in order to cling to Gu Jingqing, this big tree. Just as Song Xiaowan was being forcibly dragged away, she suddenly shouted, "I have money, I have money. My boyfriend is the future richest man. He promised me that he would definitely pay off the debt for me." Future richest man. Seeing that the hooligans didn't believe it, she quickly assured them, "Really, my boyfriend will be very rich in the future. This little gambling debt is nothing to him. Look, he's here." Everyone followed Song Xiaowan's gaze. There was only a poor student in shabby clothes, whose whole outfit was worth less than 2,000 yuan, coming out of the bathroom. He even boasted, "Her mother only owes you more than 1 million yuan, I'll pay it back for her." Then he turned around and borrowed a pen and paper from the waiter and skillfully wrote down his name. Just like signing a check in the previous life. "In 10 years. I'll pay you back 10 times the principal and interest." The hooligans laughed angrily and directly tore the IOU into pieces and threw them in Gu Jingqing's face. TSK. I felt embarrassed for him at this scene. Seeing that the hooligans didn't appreciate it, Gu Jingqing singled me out from the onlookers. "Su Ran, pay off this money for her, and I'll consider being your boyfriend." "Me? I can let you have my person, but my heart will always belong to Wanner." "Brother Gu, don't." Gu Jingqing closed his eyes, as if determined to sacrifice himself, and grabbed my shoulders, about to force a kiss. I instinctively slapped him, endured the nausea, and cursed, "Are you crazy? When did I say I liked you?" Gu Jingqing turned his head, poked his swollen left cheek with his tongue, and sneered, "Pretend all you want. In the previous life, you were crazy about me. Please, when you were reborn, bring some brains with you, okay? In the previous life, I did like you. But that was also 3 years later. Now, I don't know you well, don't come looking for a beating." "Sure enough, you also have memories of the previous life." Gu Jingqing wasn't the least bit surprised. After all, the three of us died together in the previous life. Since both he and Song Xiaowan were reborn, there was no reason for me to be an exception. "That's great. No need for me to prove anything. If you obediently take out the money, in 10 years, I'll ensure the safety of your family. Otherwise, you know what the consequences of angering me are." Gu Jingqing had always been vengeful. The first thing he did after becoming the richest man was to get rid of those who had bullied him. "But don't forget, without me, you can't become the richest man in this life." "Oh, really? ###6. I rolled my eyes helplessly, afraid of getting into trouble. I turned around and quickly fled the scene. Gu Jingqing was still chasing after me, threatening, "Su Ran. I promise you will pay a heavy price for your wrong decision today." Later, I heard the story of what happened after I left that day from the monitor. In order to get away, Gu Jingqing told the debt collectors that he had a connection with their boss. In the previous life, their boss had fawned over him to make money, but unfortunately, he didn't take a fancy to him. In this life, as long as they showed him some face and wiped out the debt, in 10 years, he would surely lead them to do business and make a fortune. As a result, they thought he was crazy and directly beat him up. If the monitor hadn't secretly called the police, the two of them would have been thrown into the Huangpu River to feed the fish. The monitor directed the classmates to move Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan's desks out. He said, "These two dropped out of school. They said they were going to start a business and make a fortune. I knew about this a few days ago. Gu Jingqing sent me a WeChat message to provoke me, saying that he would soon make me lose everything and asking me if I regretted it in the previous life. If you hadn't brought people to catch us cheating and had turned a blind eye to Warner's existence, maybe you could have always been the richest man's wife. It's a pity that you just couldn't tolerate her. I replied to him, who do you think you are? You still want to keep a mistress outside. Do you deserve it? Now it seems that Warner is indeed more suitable to be the richest man's wife than you. Get lost, you gigolo. In the previous life, I knew that Gu Jingqing secretly embezzled public funds to buy a luxury house and cars for Song Xiaowan and that the two of them plotted to kill me. I endured it to find the evidence to make him leave the house penniless. After I firmly held the real power, I went to expose the true features of this adulterous couple. At that time, Song Xiaowan was already 6 months pregnant and was racking her brains to force me out. Seeing me come to catch them cheating, she was still looking smug. But when the lawyer announced that Gu Jingqing wouldn't get a single cent, Song Xiaowan couldn't sit still. She secretly turned on the gas in the kitchen and, taking me by surprise, pushed me in, trying to silence me. At the moment before the gas explosion, I dragged the two of them in with me, one in each hand. With their 3 lives as my companions in death, no matter how you calculate it, I didn't lose. In this life, I didn't want to have any more dealings with them. But since Gu Jingqing insisted on tearing his face off with me, there was nothing I could do. 3 days later, I went to the business incubation base with my father and saw Gu Jingqing. He dropped out of school and settled here, wanting to replicate the path to success in the previous life. But how could it be that easy? Which company would trust a high school dropout? In the previous life, he had a Tsinghua University degree and my recommendation. He could stand on the podium and tell those busy CEOs his ideas, but in this life, he didn't even have the qualification to enter the door. He even sneaked in by bribing the security guard. Gu Jingqing was extremely proud when he saw me and deliberately hid his business plan behind his back. I won't cooperate with Su's group, no matter who I cooperate with. Su ran. Give up. Is it possible that I'm here to invest in someone else? I'm not interested in him at all. ###7. In fact, in the previous life, my father valued my senior, Su Yi, the most. He was also a top-notch graduate from Tsinghua University. He was low-key, reliable in handling things, and much more mature in thinking than Gu Jingqing. My father intended to match us up and cultivate him to be the successor. Unfortunately, in the previous life, the person I liked wasn't him. Su Yi could only reluctantly become the vice president of the group. It can be said that Gu Jingqing was only the richest man in name, while the real person in power of the group was Su Yi. Because of me, he had been wronged for too long. In this life, I will return the glory that belongs to him. After just half an hour of his speech, my father decided to invest in him. After the event, Su Yi specifically found me to thank me. I heard that it was your strong recommendation that convinced Chairman Su to come and listen to my speech in person. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't have had such a good opportunity. I waved my hand in shame. Actually, I didn't do much. It's just that you're excellent yourself. In the previous life, in order to help Gu Jingqing, I took away this opportunity for Su Yi to shine. It made him waste several years in an ordinary position. Fortunately, he was hard-working and enterprising enough to seize another opportunity. Otherwise, I would have been guilty. This time, I returned the opportunity to him, and Su Yi quickly made great progress in his career and became my father's right-hand man. I also successfully got into Tsinghua University and entered Su Yi's research team. Later, Song Xiaowan specifically came to the school to find me and showed off in front of me. Brother Gu has already secured investment. Although 5 million yuan is a bit less, this is just the first step for him to become the richest man. I believe that in less than 10 years, he will return to his original position. Then she looked at me contemptuously and said, "You were the richest man's wife for so long. In this life, it's my turn to enjoy the blessings. Don't worry, this blessing is all yours." Before Gu Jingqing could show off in front of me in person, bad news came. Gu Jingqing was cheated. They just gave him a little sweetener, and then they cheated him out of everything. His patent was bought for 1 yuan, his core business ideas were plagiarized, and even the original website he finally set up was attacked and gone. After several consecutive business failures, Gu Jingqing couldn't sit still. He came to the school to block me. Su ran. Was it you who did this? Are you afraid that I'll succeed in my business and that I'll take revenge on you? I blinked, looking innocent. Senior Su Yi stood in front of me and kindly reminded him, "Are you classmate Gu? I've heard about you. Your business ideas and concepts are correct. But the world is full of dangers, you should be more careful in the future. Is it your turn to speak, Sue? In the previous life, you were just a dog working for me. Who are you pretending to be? Get out of the way. Gu Jingqing always thought that becoming the richest man was all his own credit and had nothing to do with me or Sue, but he was wrong. Without the two of us, the position of the richest man would never have fallen to him. Sue grabbed his hand forcefully, not allowing him to get close to me, under the gold-rimmed glasses. Suyi's dark eyes were filled with cold, sharp glints. Come to trouble Ranran again, and don't blame me for being rude to you. Then he personally escorted him out of the school. ###8. In the previous life, with my protection, Gu Jingqing's business path was too smooth. It made him forget how cold and dark the world was, even though he had memories of the previous life and a vision for future emerging industries. It wasn't easy for him to succeed in starting a business. Well, he was cheated again. Driven by eagerness for quick success and greed for profit, Gu Jingqing successfully fell into a fraud group. The monitor noticed something was wrong and kindly called the police for him. 3 months later, Gu Jingqing was bailed out. That day, the police called me and asked me to cooperate with them in the investigation. The police uncle asked me what messages Gu Jingqing had sent me in the past few months. I honestly opened the chat records for them to see. Su Ranran. For the sake of our past feelings, as long as you transfer 500,000 yuan to me, I'll forgive you without holding a grudge. Su Ranran, I'm only 300,000 yuan short of a successful business start-up. I promise I won't take revenge on you when I become the richest man. Su Ranran, transfer 100,000 yuan to me, and I'll immediately make you the vice president. Su Ranran, transfer 50,000 yuan to me. The police uncle was trying very hard not to laugh. I also felt very speechless. Just as I was about to leave, the police told me that Gu Jingqing was involved in fraud and might go to jail, and he wanted to see me. I didn't want to go, but the police persuaded me that Gu Jingqing was very stubborn. Only if I went would he truthfully report all the facts. To save more people who were deceived by telecom fraud, I went. Gu Jingqing no longer had his former arrogance and high profile. He just sat silently on the chair, his hands handcuffed, when he saw me. It took him a long time to calm down his emotions. He said, Ranran, I'm sorry. I asked him questions as the police asked. When you first entered the fraud group, didn't you notice anything wrong? He smiled bitterly. From the first day I entered, I knew there was something wrong with this place, but I didn't want to admit that the once richest man had actually fallen to such a state. Ranran. Now I finally realize that I'm a useless person who can do nothing. Without you, I'm nothing. But I also have my self-esteem. I didn't want to admit it, and I was even more afraid that if I admitted it, I would really never be able to stand up again. I tried my best to prove myself and make achievements to show you, but it turned out that I'm really a waste. Ranran, actually, I early realized that the person I love is you, but in the previous life, no matter how high I climbed, you never admired me. It seemed that everything was within your plan. I'm a man. I need to be admired by a woman. Song Shaowan is better at being a woman than you. She likes me and holds me up high. I really enjoyed the way she looked up to me. That's all. On that day, when you brought people to break into the house where Song Shaowan and I were, my first reaction was to save you. As long as you forgave me and pretended that nothing had happened, we could still live a happy life, but you just wanted to divorce me and make me leave the house penniless. That gas explosion was Song Shaowan's own will. I never wanted to hurt you. Never. After realizing that I was reborn, I didn't deliberately get so close to Song Shaowan. It's just, I was angry with you. After all, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have dragged me to death at the last moment. I picked my ears and asked him if he had finished. If so, I was leaving. Senior Sui had a new project that was short of people, and I couldn't stay outside for too long, especially not waste time listening to others talk nonsense. At this time, Song Shaowan suddenly appeared from nowhere. She pushed me away forcefully, and with tears all over her face, she roared at Gu Jingqing, you actually lied to me. I'm your savior in the previous life. Without my kidney, you would have died long ago. You promised to be with me for a lifetime and make a fortune to pay off my mother's gambling debts, but you took the real estate certificate left to me by my father and disappeared. Where's the money? Give me back the money, you liar. Savior, I paid for that kidney. You were going to sell it to someone anyway. It just so happened that you sold it to me. In the previous life, I bought you luxury houses, luxury cars. And took you traveling. You weren't satisfied. You even wanted to be the richest man's wife. You killed Ran and me. In this life, you made me drop out of school early. If it weren't for you egging me on, I wouldn't have entered this fraud company at all. Now that I'm going to jail, you won't have a good time either. Police, I want to report that this vicious woman, Song Shawan, is also a member of the fraud group. She sent me in. Shut up, you gigolo. After flattering you a few times, you really think you're the richest man. Looking at your pretentious appearance of acting rich when you're broke, I'm so disgusted that I want to vomit. I warn you, if you don't return the real estate certificate and the heirloom jade pendant to me, I'll make sure you stay in jail forever. Police, I want to report, the amount of Gu Jingqing's crimes is more than that. I hadn't had enough of watching this dog-eat-dog show when Song Shawan rushed out to report to the police, for fear that if she was a second late, Gu Jingqing wouldn't be able to sit through the prison term. Gu Jingqing looked at me eagerly and begged me, Ran, for the sake of our past life as husband and wife, can you help me? I know that as long as you take action, I can spend a few years less in prison. Do you know how many families will be torn apart by telecom fraud? Gu Jingqing, you deserve all of this. Go and receive reform in prison. ###9. Gu Jingqing's judgment was handed down, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Since that day, Song Shawan had disappeared. It was said that one day, she went to the police in a battered state to report that her gambling-addicted mother had sold her to a rich old man with special hobbies as a pet. She couldn't take it anymore and begged the police to save her. At first, the police would go out to check, but the old man took out their marriage certificate and the testimony of Song Shawan's mother in court. In the end, it was determined as a family conflict and the case was closed. Later, there was no news of Song Shawan anymore. The day Gu Jingqing was released from prison happened to be our class reunion. He came, but he didn't show up. He just stood in the distance, took a look at me, and then turned around and fled. After 3 years in prison, he no longer had the look of his former self. He was emaciated, with sunken eyes. He was wearing a washed-out sweatshirt and wrapped his whole head in a hat. When a passer-by walked by, he would subconsciously step aside. I saw him through the window. He was staring fixedly at Sui beside me. His eyes were filled with envy, jealousy, and unwillingness, because at this time, Sui had already become the richest man in Asia. In the previous life, it took Gu Jingqing 10 years to reach the position of the richest man, while Sui only took 3 short years, although he had the help of my family. He was also hard-working and enterprising. My father had intended to match us up, but I really only regarded him as a brother. Sui didn't force me. Instead, he respected my wishes and doted on me. The twin sisters I had sponsored in the past had also become my most powerful assistants. Although they graduated from an ordinary second-tier university, they were diligent, studious, and grateful. They not only brought the grandparents who had raised them to live in the city but also refused offers from major famous enterprises for my sake. I believe that one day, with their help, I will build my own business empire step by step. Story 2. After being reborn, my elder sister decisively exchanged her fiancé with mine. She said, I'll leave the Buddhist prodigy of the Beijing Circle to you. I'll marry the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing Circle. In the previous life, she married the aloof Buddhist prodigy, but she never expected that he was born with a sickly and delicate personality. She couldn't stand it and chose to cheat. Then she was imprisoned by him for a lifetime and finally died of depression. But I often went in and out of high-end occasions. With the power and influence of the young master of the prince's family, everyone envied me. Looking at her crazy and triumphant smile, I let out a sigh of relief. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy. 1. I was reborn to 1 minute before choosing a fiancé for the arranged marriage. Our family had once arranged a baby betrothal for my elder sister and me. Now it was time to choose our fiancés. My socialite elder sister's eyes were filled with shock and joy. The moment the elders finished speaking, she let out a shrill laugh. Dad, Mom, I want to choose the young master of the Liang family in the Beijing Circle. I want to marry into the Liang family. I instantly understood that she was also reborn. She wanted to encroach on my life. My parents frowned. Ruoruo, have you really thought this through? The Liang family has lost several lawsuits and is not as powerful as before. Didn't you always like the young master of the Fu family, who is very capable? My elder sister beamed with joy. The young master of the Liang family has the ability to sort out everything. Don't worry. I'll have a good life. These words confirmed my suspicion. The reason why my elder sister cried and made a fuss to marry Liang Yiming was that she was afraid of ending up being imprisoned to death just like in the previous life. In the previous life, she took the initiative first and chose the cold and noble Buddhist prodigy in the Beijing circle, Fu Ruqing. She successfully became the young mistress of the Fu family as she wished. Before she had enough of the wealthy life she had dreamed of, my elder sister was sent to a temple on the mountain for spiritual cultivation. The precepts were strict, the food was plain. On the mountain, there were only the sounds of wooden fish and bells, not to mention the bold holy monk and enchanting woman play she wanted. Fu Ruqing never touched her at all. My elder sister was used to the colorful world. How could she be patient enough to live a boring life with a phone call? She called 2 of her ex-boyfriends to play with her. When the 3 of them were having a good time, other monks heard the commotion and caught them in bed on the spot. It was said that Fu Ruqing was so disgusted that he went into seclusion immediately. According to his oral order, my elder sister was confined to a villa at the foot of the mountain for lifelong spiritual cultivation and finally died of depression. Fu Ruqing didn't abuse her. Except for not allowing her to go in and out of nightclubs and bars to find young men, he didn't do anything too excessive. But my elder sister was jealous that I could go in and out of high-end places with the young master of the Liang family. In the end, she even developed a heart problem from pent-up emotions. No wonder she chose the Liang family, which she looked down upon in the previous life. As soon as she was reborn, my elder sister felt my gaze, glared at me provocatively, and then pulled me into the bedroom. Don't even think about snatching the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing circle from me, otherwise, don't blame me for killing you with my own hands. Pretending to be kind-hearted, I said, but the Liang family is facing difficulties now. Does sister really want to sacrifice herself? My elder sister raised her chin haughtily and had a contemptuous expression. It's none of your business, the Liang family will thrive. After saying that, she pushed me and said, you'd better care about yourself. I hope you can stand the life of a nun who lives like a widow for the rest of your life. Looking at her swaggering away, a smile reappeared on my face. Does she really think that the Liang family's resurgence depends on Liang Yiming, who is proficient in eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling? Liang Yiming is the kind of person who can send his own wife to someone else's bed with his own hands. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy, too. Although my parents were helpless, they still agreed to my elder sister's choice. Then they turned their gaze to me. Tan, since your elder sister wants to marry into the Liang family, you will marry into the Fu family. They didn't give me a chance to object and casually finalized my marriage. My elder sister gloated. While putting on a thick nightclub makeup for herself, she sneered, Lin Tan, just accept your fate. Be careful that you'll be tied to a meditation cushion and have to kowtow for the rest of your life. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, Sister, I wish you won't be tied to the bed with chains and have to accompany guests nonstop in the future. She thought that exchanging marriages could exchange lives. Little did she know that the right to choose in life lies with oneself, not with a certain man. My elder sister was stunned. When she realized what I said, she wanted to slap me. I smiled and stepped back, putting on a decent smile. Mom, it's getting late. Didn't you say you've called Ruqing? He'll come to pick me up soon. I'm going to change my clothes. After finalizing the marriage partners, my parents informed the Fu family and the Liang family respectively and euphemistically suggested that it would be best to cultivate some affection. The Fu family was only half an hour's drive from my home. Fu Ruqing said he would come to pick me up and go for a walk. As for Liang Yiming, he was probably indulging in some nightclub now, drunk and dreaming of a life of pleasure. He didn't even answer a single call. My elder sister's face changed slightly. She stared at me intently, wishing she could poke a hole in me. When I came out after changing my clothes, Fu Ruqing had also arrived. He sat beside my parents, expressionlessly discussing the details of the engagement ceremony preparation. He had a tall and straight nose, outstanding facial features. He was more good-looking than the celebrities on TV, and he exuded an air of calmness like a deep stream. No wonder my elder sister fell in love with him at first sight in the previous life. As soon as my elder sister saw Fu Ruqing, she was immediately fascinated. Her eyes almost stuck to him. Fu Ruqing changed to a position farther away from her, as if avoiding something dirty. The bright crystal lights illuminated his expression, but they couldn't light up those dark eyes, which showed no trace of light. My elder sister was so scared that she shuddered. Just as she was about to make up for it, I interrupted, "Sister, what are you talking to my fiancé about?" Hearing the word fiancé, my elder sister and Fu Ruqing both looked up at me. My elder sister's expression was beyond description, she seemed to want to devour me alive. But Fu Ruqing just looked at me quietly, and a trace of inexplicable emotion flashed in his black eyes. I stepped forward and naturally took his arm. "Mr. Fu, I'm ready, let's go." Fu Ruqing's gaze shifted to the hand holding his arm, and he replied with a faint "3. It was not until we reached the car that I let go of his arm and said sincerely, "Mr. Fu, thank you." My parents were bent on selling me as capital, and I had already had enough of this suffocating home. If Fu Ruqing hadn't come to pick me up, I would never have been able to escape from their clutches. "Why are you thanking me? Aren't we fiancés?" Fu Ruqing looked at me quietly, his gaze made me feel a little at a loss and a little flustered. "Okay, what's mine is yours, you're welcome. Haven't you had dinner? I'll take you to a restaurant." Touching my slightly empty stomach, I nodded. I had thought that Fu Ruqing would take me to a vegetarian restaurant or something, but unexpectedly, he drove me to a Western restaurant. It was the one I usually liked to eat at the most. "Mr. Fu, did we go the wrong way?" I couldn't help but put my hands together. "This is a sin, isn't this defiling his belief?" But Fu Ruqing shook his head. "It's okay, Buddhism emphasizes only cultivating oneself. I've already eaten at home, just order whatever you want to eat." I couldn't decline. After sitting down, I ordered a salad and spaghetti with vegetarian sauce. Fu Ruqing said, "Is that all you're going to eat?" I nodded. "This is enough. I'm not picky about food. In fact, after experiencing the days in the previous life when I was tied up like a dog by Liang Yiming, it's already good enough to have something to eat." Fu Ruqing looked at me, and I didn't know what he was thinking. After I finished eating and put down the knife and fork, he calmly said, "After we get married, please be sure to remain loyal to the marriage and fulfill your marital obligations. I will give you everything you want." Marital obligations, my mind went blank, and I blurted out without thinking, "Aren't you a monk?" Fu Ruqing corrected me. "I'm a lay Buddhist," I silently complained. "Then why do everyone call you the Buddhist prodigy?" I thought. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but I saw him smile. My heart suddenly started pounding. Somehow, I reached out and touched his eyebrows and eyes. The moment my fingers touched his skin, I realized what I had done and quickly withdrew my hand, but it was a step too late. Fu Ruqing was stunned and instinctively grabbed my hand, holding it tightly and refusing to let go. I'm really sorry." I felt desperate and wished I could slap myself twice. Lin Tan, how could you be bewitched by a man's appearance and do such a crazy thing on impulse? Fortunately, Fu Ruqing didn't care about my abruptness. His lips moved slightly. "It's okay." When he sent me back home, we both tacitly forgot what had just happened. Before getting out of the car, I joked, "Mr. Fu, I heard that Buddhism emphasizes the word fate. In your opinion, do we have fate?" I thought he wouldn't answer this question. Unexpectedly, he nodded and said calmly, "Yes, it started from the previous life." It was my turn to be silent. How could I have had a relationship with him in the previous life? The unbearable experiences of the previous life are still vivid in my mind. A person can't forget important things, just like one can never forget hatred. I didn't take it seriously and didn't refute, I just smiled. "Then I will definitely cherish this fate," until I turned around and walked into the gate. When I casually looked back, I still found that the car lights were shining faintly white in the dark night. Fu Ruqing hadn't left yet. My heart skipped a beat. Just as I was about to turn back to find him, my elder sister blocked me at the door. My elder sister had a ferocious expression on her face, and her lips were as red as if she had eaten a dead child. "Lin Tan, you shameless slut." After saying that, she wanted to pull my hair. "You seduced Fu Ruqing. I'll kill you." Looking at my elder sister's crazy appearance, I almost burst out laughing. I sidestepped to avoid her attack, making her fall to the ground and eat dirt. I covered my mouth and took a few steps back. "Sister, why are you performing such a big courtesy when it's not a festival? Although the Fu family has power and influence, you don't have to fawn on me like this, do you?" Every word hit her right in the heart. The reason why my elder sister chose the Liang family was that she was blinded by the apparent wealth and prosperity. In her heart, she still regarded Fu Ruqing as her own possession and was daydreaming about having the best of both worlds. Not to mention that I'm Fu Ruqing's fiancé in this life. Even if I were an insignificant stranger, I wouldn't stand by and watch a person like my elder sister harm good people. After laughing enough, I continued, "Are you feeling lonely at home? you can go to bars and nightclubs more often. Maybe the young master you've been longing for is dancing in some singing and dancing hall. My elder sister didn't know the true nature of Liang Yiming. Thinking that I was belittling her fiancé, she had a look of hatred on her face. Shut up, do you even deserve to be compared with me? I hope you can still laugh when you're locked in the temple and eating chaff and vegetables. By then, I'll become the Mrs. Liang wearing gold and silver. Even if you kneel on the ground and beg me, I won't show mercy. After saying that, she got up resentfully from the ground and turned back to the bedroom. I leaned against the stairs casually and opened my phone to look at today's economic evening news. TSK, the Liang family's stock has dropped another 10 points. I hope it can hold out until the day my elder sister marries into the Liang family. 5. The next day, after Liang Yiming sobered up, he learned who his fiancée was and rushed to my home to admit his mistake and apologize. He talked nonsense seriously, uncle and aunt. I had social engagements last night and accidentally got drunk and lost my memory, but don't worry, our family's business is gradually getting back on track. When Reborn marries me, the crisis will definitely be resolved easily. I rolled my eyes silently. The debt crisis will of course be resolved easily, in addition to the dowry worth tens of millions that can relieve the urgent need. Liang Yiming will also force his future wife to accompany guests and drink, satisfying the perverted tastes of the upper class. For those in the upper class, it's not difficult to find young and beautiful girls to torture. The difficult thing is to find playthings from a higher social background. Perhaps only in this way can they enjoy the so-called pleasure of conquest. In the previous life, Liang Yiming seized the opportunity and sent me out as a favor, making me suffer a lot of abuse. Finally, he got the opportunity to turn the tables. The high-end banquets that seemed so glorious in my elder sister's eyes were just the entrances that pushed me into the abyss again and again. My elder sister was completely unaware of the tragic fate that awaited her. She was elated and whispered in my ear, "Lin Tan, just wait. Anyway, you're destined to live like a widow. After you're abandoned, I'll definitely find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined. You always put on this deadpan face. Let's see if Fu Ruching will still want you then." I curled my lips into a sarcastic smile and raised my arm. Slap. I interrupted my elder sister's endless cursing and also interrupted the conversation between Liang Yiming and my parents in the living room. This slap directly stunned my elder sister, and she burst into tears. "Dad, Mom, and my dear, look, Lin Tan is bullying me." My father comforted my elder sister and then said sternly, Tan, what are you doing? Hurry up and apologize to your elder sister." My parents have always been partial to my elder sister. In the previous life, when they saw that I was in a desperate situation, they not only refused to take me home but even mocked me. A married daughter is like spilled water. You have to do whatever Liang Yiming asks you to do. If you want to be clean, then go and die. Won't everything be clean if you're dead? However, when my elder sister was caught cheating, my parents rushed to the Fu family in a hurry to plead for mercy. Although it was ultimately ineffective, the contrast was really disheartening. After being reborn, I have seen many things clearly. For example, now, it's not me who should die, but these heartless people who are the beneficiaries. I squeezed out a few tears. "Dad, do you know what sister just said? She actually said that she wanted me to sleep with men." Listen to this. Is this something a person would say? At the same time, I paid attention to observing Liang Yiming's expression. Sure enough, a gloomy look covered Liang Yiming's eyebrows, and his gaze towards my elder sister was tinged with hostility. He never expected that the secret plan would be revealed. My elder sister refused to admit it and tried her best to smear me. "She's lying. I didn't say that." I had expected her to quibble. I opened the voice recording app on my phone and clicked play. Just as the sentence, "find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined," was played, the butler rushed in nervously. "Something's wrong, sir and madam." Young Master Fu suddenly arrived. I couldn't stop him no matter how hard I tried, and he has already barged in. Fu Ruching's figure was bathed in the morning sunlight, as if surrounded by a layer of sacred and inviolable holy light. However, his eyes were extremely cold, especially when he heard the last sentence of the recording. He gave everyone a cold and indifferent glance. My parents were sweating profusely and quickly greeted him. "Ruching, you should have told us in advance that you were coming, so that Tan could go out to welcome you." Fu Ruching avoided their affectionate touches and said straightforwardly, "There's no need for pleasantries. What I want to ask is what Lin Rua just said. Ask her to repeat it." If Liang Yiming's mood was one of being angry and ashamed just now, Now he was filled with both fear and shock. He put on an innocent look and said with an embarrassed smile, "Mr. Fu, it's all a misunderstanding, let's talk things over properly." In response to him, Fu Ruqing didn't hesitate to say a single word, "Get lost." The scene suddenly became quiet. Everyone knew that Fu Ruqing was pure-hearted and had few desires, as indifferent as water. They had never heard him tell someone to get lost before, yet, he had immense power and influence. And no one could afford to provoke him or avoid him, except for me. No one had a pleasant expression on their face. In fact, I didn't really understand the current situation either. I had only met Fu Ruqing at most twice. How could he be so angry on my behalf? Before I could think more, Fu Ruqing had already walked up to me and pulled me into his arms. "Lin Tan, don't be afraid, it's all right now." My nose was filled with the faint fragrance of the incense, which brought my thoughts back to a long, long time ago. An image flashed in my mind, but it vanished in an instant like flowing water. I tried to break free from his embrace, but unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing pressed me back, so, I could only mumble in his arms, "It's okay, I'm fine now." No matter what Liang Yiming and my elder sister said or did, I wouldn't be easily played by them anymore. How could a person who climbed out of hell be easily swayed by the words of scum? I smiled and looked at my elder sister. "Sister, I presented the evidence, so, shouldn't you apologize?" My elder sister refused to lower her noble head and kept hiding behind Liang Yiming. My father lost face. On the one hand, he didn't want to scold his precious eldest daughter, and on the other hand, he didn't dare to offend his two well-born sons-in-law, so, he vented all his anger on me. "Lin Tan, are you done? Stop making trouble and go upstairs to your room right away." See? It's always like this. I had long since given up hope in them and just found it ridiculous, so, I said calmly, "I'm not done yet, but I don't plan to play with you either. Don't you like Lin Rua?" Then accompany her and put on a good show of fatherly kindness and daughterly filial piety. Ignoring my parents' surprised shouts, I strode out of the villa. 7. Except for Fu Ruqing who chased after me, no one else showed up. I'd bet that my elder sister was absolutely overjoyed right now. No one would snatch Liang Yiming, who she had set her eyes on, and all of the Lin family's hundreds of millions of family fortune would belong to her. On the surface, a happy and fulfilling life seemed to be beckoning to her, but I knew that the Lin family was far from being as glorious as it seemed on the surface. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in such a hurry to marry off their daughters for marriage alliances. It wouldn't be long before the Lin family declared bankruptcy due to heavy debts. In the previous life, my parents didn't hesitate to pass on the debts to me and went abroad to live a good life with the assets they had already transferred. My elder sister didn't know the truth about the bankruptcy and harbored hatred towards me, thinking that I had inherited the family business. Since she envied me, I might as well have the opportunity and give her this mess of the Lin family. Fu Ruqing followed me unhurriedly, as if worried that I might do something stupid. I simply sat down on a bench by the roadside and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm fine now." Fu Ruqing sat beside me and turned his head to look at me. He didn't say anything, and just sitting there quietly was already very good. I closed my eyes, and bits and pieces of the previous life flashed through my mind. Even if I did nothing, my elder sister would still end up in a very tragic situation, but my enemies weren't just her, whether it was Liang Yiming or my parents. They were all executioners who pushed me into the abyss. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. I proposed a deal. "Mr. Fu, could you do me a favor? Once it's done, the assets of the Fu family can at least increase by 200 million. Unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing didn't agree immediately. Instead, he asked me where I was going. "What about you?" I pointed at myself. "Me, I have nowhere to go. Would you like to take me in?" It was just a joke, but who knew that he seemed to take it seriously? His well-defined fingers tightly grasped my hand, and he said in a hoarse voice, "Okay, then never leave me." Me. 8. Fortunately, although Fu Ruqing's words were intimidating, he didn't actually do anything excessive. During the days I lived in the Fu family, I collected a lot of evidence of the Lin family embezzling public funds and lining their own pockets. They would become the key links on my path of revenge. 3 months later, on the 2nd day of the 10th lunar month, Liang Yiming and my elder sister held a grand wedding. My elder sister was wearing a white wedding dress, with a huge diamond on her ring finger. There was a smug and complacent smile on her face as she enjoyed the compliments and congratulations from others. "Thank you for your blessings, Miss Li. My Yiming just dotes on me. There's nothing I can do about it." I told him not to buy such a luxurious diamond ring, But he actually had someone bring me a pink diamond back from South Africa. I heard it's worth 200 million, Mrs. Zhao, you're here too, you've noticed it, I'm indeed pregnant, with your kind words, it will definitely be the legitimate eldest grandson of the Liang family, don't worry, there will be many opportunities in the future, after all, I'm now the only apple of my parents' and Yiming's eyes. My elder sister smiled brightly, until she saw me attending, her smile immediately froze. Lin Tan, why are you here, who let you in? She waved her hand, intending to ask the security guards to throw me out. The corners of my lips curled up slightly. Lin Rua, I'm not attending the ceremony in the name of your younger sister today, but as Mrs. Fu, if you drive me away, do you want to reject the investment from the Fu family? Even the Liang family in its prime couldn't compete with the Fu family, let alone in its current declining situation. I smiled and said, Sister, I heard that you're pregnant, then don't wear that dyed pink diamond anymore. Chemical dyes are harmful to the body, be careful not to have a miscarriage. Lin Tan, do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Let me tell you, you'll never be able to enjoy wealth and glory like I do in your life. My elder sister stamped her foot angrily and turned around to entertain other guests. I raised my eyebrows. She was so easily provoked. Wouldn't she be driven crazy by what I was going to do next? An hour later, the ceremony officially began. My parents pretended to be kind and loving parents, as if they were pleased that their daughter had found her final destination. After the bride and groom exchanged diamond rings, they announced that they would give all the shares of the Lin family to my elder sister, and they signed the agreement on the spot, which took effect immediately after signing. The guests present all applauded my parents' generosity, and Liang Yiming was even more overjoyed. My elder sister glanced at me triumphantly and said in a coquettish voice, Dad, Mom, you spoil me too much. Isn't there still my sister? Oops, I forgot that my sister was kicked out of the house for being unfilial. How pitiful. There was a lot of discussion among the guests. The news that I had severed my relationship with the Lin family wasn't a secret in the circle, but it hadn't been confirmed either. So, many people speculated whether there was still room for negotiation. Unexpectedly, my elder sister didn't hide it at all and said it out loud at the wedding today. For a moment, many people looked at me with either pity or ridicule in their eyes. 9. I stood up gracefully and raised my glass towards my parents from a distance. Although my parents have severed their relationship with me, after all, they gave birth to me and raised me for so many years, I'm still grateful. I always have to give some small gifts. Dad, Mom, oh, Mr. Lin, Mrs. Lin, I heard that you're going to settle in the United States soon. To express my apologies, I can only give you 2 business class tickets. I hope you can live comfortably in the United States. As soon as I said this, the whole room was in an uproar. My elder sister looked confused and turned her head to ask, Mom and Dad, why are you suddenly going abroad? Why didn't you tell me? Of course, if they had told her, could my parents have run away carefree? Lin Tan, what are you talking nonsense about? When are we going abroad? My father avoided my gaze and scolded me blusteringly. It was obvious to anyone with discernment that he was feeling guilty. I pretended to be confused and said, Is that so? Ruching clearly told me that there was a problem with the family's assets. Alas, anyway, I'm not a daughter of the Lin family anymore. Maybe I made a mistake. After saying that, I sat down leisurely and tightened my hold on Fu Ruching's arm. His body stiffened for a moment, and then he tightened his grip with an irresistible force, as if he wanted to lock me tightly by his side. I smiled to soothe him. Looking like an affectionate couple, the people below were laughing. But the people on the stage were about to cry. Liang Yiming snatched the agreement like a madman. After reading it, he called his secretary. After hanging up the phone, his eyes were so red that they seemed to be bleeding. My elder sister didn't understand what was going on and stepped forward to please him. Honey, what happened? Let's solve it together. Before she could finish speaking, Liang Yiming slapped her to interrupt her. My elder sister rolled down from the half-meter-high platform, hit her head on the pillar, and fainted on the spot. There was a cut on her forehead, and blood was gushing out. Not only that, Liang Yiming rushed in front of my parents and swung his fist at their old faces. What was supposed to be a wonderful wedding banquet turned into a brawl scene. Escorted by bodyguards, I left the scene unharmed. Looking at the tall rainbow gate, I squinted my eyes. I knew that Liang Yiming and my elder sister had already obtained their marriage certificate, and my elder sister chose to inherit the property, along with the debts. The huge debt that the Liang family owed hadn't been paid off yet. and now they had an additional 200 million in joint marital debt. TSK, so pitiful. I hope they can get through this disaster smoothly and then rot and stink together in prison. 10. The next day. The front pages of major newspapers were all news about the bankruptcy of the Lin family and Liang Yiming's violent behavior at the wedding. My elder sister was admitted to the hospital. Fortunately, she didn't have a miscarriage. My parents suffered a mild concussion from the beating and claimed that they would sue Liang Yiming for intentional injury. However, before the lawyer could come, the police arrested them. The reason was that they were suspected of occupational embezzlement and foreign exchange evasion. Due to the huge amount involved, they were likely to be sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. They cried and begged me to save them. I sat on the chair with an unchanged expression. I'm a married daughter, like spilled water. It's only right and proper to pay off debts. If you don't want to go to jail, it's simple, then you can just die. Everything will be clean if you're dead. It was the same words as in the previous life, but the difference was that I had become the one who controlled their fate. Lin Tan, you ungrateful wretch, if I had known this, I should have strangled you to death when you were born. My mother cried and roared. I tilted my head. Very well, there's one more charge for going to jail. Bodyguards, take Mr. and Mrs. Lin to the police station and say that they're suspected of attempted murder. My parents were dragged out the door, and their cries gradually faded away. Fu Ruqing walked up to me and looked at me with a complicated expression. I took his hand and pressed it against my face. Do you think I'm bad? I can even be so heartless towards my own parents. According to Buddhist teachings, people like me should go to hell, Fu Ruqing said in a low voice. No, his lips pressed against mine. They were a bit cold, but they gave me infinite strength. You're saving yourself. Saving myself? People like me can either destroy themselves or destroy their enemies. Do I even deserve to turn over a new leaf, after dealing with my parents? I went to the hospital. The ward was filled with the strong smell of disinfectant, which was pungent and choking. My elder sister was lying in the hospital bed, and there wasn't even a caregiver by her side. I casually picked up the apple on the table and started peeling it while chatting. Sister, how pitiful you are. Mom and Dad are really something. They actually transferred the shorted company to you. And your husband is absurd too. Isn't it just taking on an additional 200 million in debt out of the blue? Is it necessary to hit people in public? My elder sister gritted her teeth so hard that sparks seemed to fly. She itched to eat my flesh and drink my blood. Bitch, you knew everything all along, didn't you? You framed me. I smiled. You chose your husband, and you signed the documents yourself. I didn't do anything from beginning to end. It's just that you brought this upon yourself. Don't be so complacent. The Liang family has a big business. Sooner or later, they will avenge this humiliation, and I'm pregnant with Liang Yiming's child now. Once he's born, I'll be the legitimate Mrs. Liang. My elder sister kept stroking her belly, not sure if she was threatening me or comforting herself. My gaze fixed on her slightly swollen belly, and I shrugged. I hope this child can bring you wealth and glory. I forgot to remind you. Some people really like the pregnant woman play. I hope you and your child can withstand such intense activities. My elder sister frowned. What do you mean? You live a life like a widow, so don't meddle in other people's married life. I turned around and smiled. Then I wish you a stimulating and enjoyable sex life, Mrs. Liang. 11. The next time I saw Liang Yiming was at a dinner party a month later. The 200 million in foreign debt was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, making him irritable and easily angered. Yet he could only grovel. As soon as Fu Ruqing and I arrived at the hall, Liang Yiming came to beg humbly, Mr. Fu Tan, for the sake of our being relatives, please be magnanimous and give us a hand. As long as you invest 500 million in the Liang group, the Liang family can be revived, and our two families can grow and become stronger together. Fu Ruqing seemed not to have heard his voice and kept his eyes fixed on my reaction. I covered my lips and chuckled. Brother-in-law, we're family, so we don't need to stand on ceremony. Lin Rua is my biological elder sister. Of course I want to help you, but you also know that my parents severed their relationship with me because of her, and my heart is really cold. When Liang Yiming heard my elder sister's name, his eyes turned scarlet. He ordered the servants to drag my elder sister out and forced her to apologize to me, betrayed by her husband like this. My elder sister wished she could kill Liang Yiming, but for some reason, she, who had always been shrewd and assertive, didn't even dare to make a peep at this moment. I had sharp eyes and saw the purple and blue marks under her evening dress. At a glance, they looked like the bruises from being beaten, glared at by Liang Yiming. My elder sister's legs went weak. She gritted her teeth and squeezed out a sentence. Sorry, sister, I was too willful in the past. I hope you can forgive me. After all, we are family. Besides me, who else can treat you with all my heart? I watched her performance with great interest and nodded. Okay, then let me see your sincerity, sister. My elder sister's eyes lit up, and she was overly attentive as she said, let's go to the side and catch up. Sisters, don't delay the men from discussing important matters, Fu Ruqing said in a deep voice. Lin Tan, I winked at him, turned back to my elder sister, and said, since sister has spoken, let's go. When we arrived at the bedroom on the second floor, my elder sister closed the door and somehow brought out a glass of red wine. Sister, let's bury the hatchet with a glass of wine. Seeing the wine glass brought to my lips, I took it and said with a half smile, you want me to drink it? A trace of panic flashed in my elder sister's eyes, and her gaze kept wandering towards the balcony. Pregnant women can't drink alcohol, so of course you're the only one who can drink it, I sneered, raised my arm, and then splashed all the wine on her face. My elder sister was caught off guard and splashed all over her face. She covered her face and let out a scream. Lin Tan, you bitch, Mr. Li, come quickly and hold her down. The balcony door was opened, and a fat man appeared behind the curtains. He seemed to think that I couldn't escape even if I had wings. He walked towards me with a lecherous smile. Little beauty, if you don't want to get hurt, you'd better obediently submit to me, otherwise. Before he could finish speaking, I picked up the dinner knife and stabbed it into his stomach. Blood splashed on my face. I casually wiped it and showed a smile. Do you want me to accompany you to sleep in hell? 12. The man's heavy begging for mercy and my elder sister's crying filled my ears. I dropped the knife, opened the door, and walked out step by step. Unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing was standing at the door. I instinctively covered the blood on my body and carefully said, sorry, before I could finish speaking. I was suddenly pulled into his arms. The blood stained his clothes, spreading out large ripples. A scalding tear fell on my neck. I couldn't tell who was stirred up with affection. I was picked up by him and rushed to the car. The hug turned into a kiss, and the kiss turned into more unrestrained actions. The blood-stained clothes were taken off one by one, revealing the most fundamental aspects of human nature. After everything turned upside down, I finally soiled the god who was untouched by the world. It's okay, let's go to hell together. 13. When I woke up the next day, I found myself lying in the bedroom. Fu Ruqing wasn't by my side, but my body had been cleaned. I took a look at my phone, and it seemed that no big news had broken out. Just as I was in a daze, the police called me. Ms. Lin, hello, may I ask if Lin Rua is your relative? After getting an answer, the police continued. She was found unconscious in a hotel. There are multiple injuries on her body, and it is suspected that she has suffered illegal infringement. In the ward, my elder sister was on a ventilator, and various medical instruments were barely maintaining her vital signs. Even so, she still firmly grabbed the corner of my clothes, full of resentment. Lin Tan, it's her who made me like this. She also stabbed Mr. Li. Make Lin Tan go to jail. The police looked solemn. After making a call to verify, they helplessly explained, Mr. Li was indeed injured last night, but he claimed that he accidentally fell and accidentally stabbed himself in the abdomen with a knife. I understood in my heart. No wonder Fu Ruqing wasn't at home early in the morning. It turned out that he had gone to deal with this matter, whether by coercion or inducement. He could always achieve unexpected results. I smiled and said, Mr. Li was really careless. I thought it was my sister who accidentally stabbed him while playing some bold games with him. By the way, officer, I can see that my sister is seriously injured. I don't know what she has gone through. Could you please tell me? I learned from the police that after the party last night, my sister was forcibly taken away by several men covering her mouth. Strangely enough, Liang Yiming watched his wife being assaulted but did nothing. If it weren't for the eyewitness accounts of several witnesses, no one would believe that such an outrageous thing could happen. I pretended to be sad and let out a deep sigh. My brother-in-law is being naughty again. You know, the economic situation of the Liang family hasn't been good recently. I didn't expect him to really set his sights on my sister. It's really a sin. The words were half true and half false, but they were enough to provide the police with a new direction. The police took their leave and prepared to investigate the criminal facts of Liang Yiming, and I stayed in the ward, reached out, and patted my elder sister's face. Sister, does it feel good to marry Liang Yiming? My elder sister widened her eyes in disbelief. You, I spread my hands and smiled. I have reminded you many times, it's you who are too stupid. In the end, you still wanted to drag me down, but instead, you got yourself into trouble. I had met that Mr. Lee in my previous life. He was a regular customer who patronized Liang Yiming's business. Presumably, in this life, Liang Yiming again had the idea of making his wife accompany guests and asked my elder sister to offer herself. My elder sister didn't want to wait for her doom. She deliberately led me into that room, but unexpectedly, she got herself into trouble instead. Liang Yiming didn't expect that my elder sister would mess up two things at once. The fantasy of repairing the relationship with the Fu family was shattered, and he offended the big benefactor, Mr. Lee, in a fit of anger. It was not impossible for him to find other places and send my elder sister there to accompany guests. Seeing the mockery in my eyes, my elder sister was terrified. It's impossible. I exchanged lives with you. All your power and love should be mine. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I lowered my eyes and looked at her, clicking my tongue in amazement. This is my past experience, the love and intact body that you want. My elder sister let out a hoarse roar, and upon careful listening, she was actually calling Fu Ruqing's name. She struggled so violently that she accidentally pulled out the tube inserted into her body. I curled the corners of my lips and kindly called the nurse for her. My elder sister still had a long life ahead of her. Long enough for her to have enough time to reflect on her failed life. 14. After Liang Yiming was taken back by the police for investigation, the Liang family's stock was like a roller coaster that had reached its peak and quickly plummeted. Those former benefactors not only didn't help but were afraid of getting themselves into trouble. They even added insult to injury. They couldn't wait to fabricate the news that Liang Yiming had accompanied others to bed. Regardless of whether this matter was true or false, his act of forcing women to accompany guests was suspected of violating the criminal law, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. This matter wasn't over yet. 10 years was just a matter of time. I could wait. When Liang Yiming is released from prison, I will throw him into a group of men myself and let him have a good taste of what hell is like. When I walked out of the court, the weather was extremely good, with not a cloud in the sky. Fu Ruqing was standing at the front of the car waiting for me. I waved at him and ran over quickly. Mr. Fu, have you been waiting for me for a long time? Fu Ruqing shook his head. I like waiting for you. I bit his earlobe and smiled cunningly. Can you say it in a different way? For example, Fu Ruqing said simply, I will wait for you for a lifetime. After a pause, he added, I like you, for 2 lifetimes. He looked at me intently, and his dark eyes seemed to suck me in. I smiled sweetly. Is that so? Do you like me that much? To explain clearly, he moved his lips, but I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. In this life, there is enough time for us to be together, and I will wait for the answer I want. Extra chapter. From Fu Ruqing's perspective, I have never told anyone that I met Lin Tan in my previous life, not just once. The first time we met was at her wedding with Liang Yiming. Clearly, the surroundings were bustling with noise and the gongs and drums were resounding. But there was not the slightest trace of joy on her face. She was only 22 years old, in the prime of her life, but she was like a withered tree whose fire had been extinguished. She seemed to be the fuel that made the Lin family prosperous. 5 years passed by in a flash. After experiencing Lin Rua's infidelity and Lin Tan's parents fleeing abroad with the money, the prestigious Lin family finally collapsed. I would occasionally think of Lin Tan. I wondered how she would cope with the situation when the birds flew away and the forest was deserted. I thought that the Liang family should protect her. After all, they had once been a wealthy family and wouldn't be too harsh on a helpless woman. Unexpectedly, I would find Lin Tan, bruised and battered, on my way back to the mountain. It was pouring with rain that day. I didn't know how she fainted on the mountain road, and her body was soaked in blood. There was a medical station on the mountain. I took her back for an examination and found that the injuries on her body were far beyond my imagination. Moreover, she was blind. According to the doctor, it was due to a retinal detachment caused by external force. My heart shook. Although I didn't know what Lin Tan had gone through these years, I understood that I definitely couldn't hand her back to the Liang family. When she woke up, she looked at me with empty eyes. Although I knew she couldn't see, I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Lin Tan sniffed and said, It's the smell of incense. This should be a temple, right? Did you save me, little master? I let out an She had only met me once and had never spoken to me before, so it was normal that she didn't remember me. After hesitating for a while, I slowly said. Your eyes. My eyes are blind. Fortunately, I'm still alive. It's a blessing in misfortune. Lin Tan blinked at me, as if smiling, but I could clearly feel that she was crying. Well, then you can stay here for now. There will usually be volunteers and lay Buddhists to take care of you. Unexpectedly, Lin Tan said. Thank you, little master. You monks are truly kind. You even saved someone as dirty and ignorant as me. How can I repay you? I was at a loss for words and fled in a hurry. With the influence of the Fu family in Beijing, it was easy to find out the evil deeds that Liang Yiming had done over the years. A thin document recorded all kinds of incidents in which Lin Tan was humiliated and trampled on. For the first time, I had the intention to kill someone. It wasn't just because he disregarded human ethics and did heinous things, but also because he had done such unforgivable things to Lin Tan. Liang Yiming deserved to die. And the Liang family really deserved to be destroyed. When I finished dealing with this matter and returned to the mountain, I saw Lin Tan sitting on the meditation cushion in a daze. She had never kowtowed or burned incense, and there was no sign of her reverence for gods and Buddhas. I was already used to it and walked past her without changing my expression. Unexpectedly, she suddenly called me, Little Master. Did you break the precepts when you went down the mountain? Why do you ask that? She smiled and said, because I can smell the smell of blood on you. The sense of smell of a blind person is very sensitive. I paused. No, Lin Tan nodded, deep in thought. 2 days later, she actually sneaked down the mountain by herself and then stumbled back with more injuries. When I took her back to the side room, she was still laughing. The retribution came really quickly. Liang Yiming actually went to prison. He had done so many disgusting things and should have ended up like this long ago. She then shouted, no, I should have killed him. Killed him. After saying that, she desperately shook my lapel. I helplessly soothed her. When you're better, go and kill him yourself. Of course, I will help you, I said silently in my heart. I knew that I had broken the precepts, so it didn't matter if I broke them one more time. But Lin Tan ultimately didn't hold on until the day Liang Yiming was released from prison. Her body had suffered too much torture, like a campfire whose firewood was gradually being removed, and it could never return to the bright moments of the past. Lin Tan leaned against me, gasping for breath with difficulty. Thank you, little master. Thank you for taking me in. I'm really happy. Someone once told me, those who haven't known suffering won't believe in gods and Buddhas. But I've endured so much suffering and still don't believe much. It was said that Fu Ruqing went into seclusion on the spot, feeling disgusted. From me, her voice gradually weakened and finally faded into silence. I hugged her body tightly and said hoarsely, I know. I knew the cause and effect of the tragedy, who the person she mentioned was, and that from then on, there was someone living in my heart. This life came too late. Will we be able to meet in the next life? When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the past. When I received the call from Lin Tan's parents, my heart was pounding wildly, and I was already prepared to refuse. However, the name they mentioned was Lin Tan's. I immediately drove to the Lin family. Under the dazzling crystal lights, Lin Tan smiled brightly and retorted Lin Rua with veiled sarcasm at the same time. I couldn't help but look at her. And I also wanted her to keep looking at me. There would be no more filthy things coveting my person. Those who had hurt her deserved to die. Whether it was the bankruptcy of the Lin family or the collapse of the Liang family, I had a hand in it. Next, I dealt with Liang Yiming, Lin Rua, and that man surnamed Li one by one. I won't let them die easily, because sometimes living is more painful than dying. That night, I was finally able to hold Lin Tan in my arms openly, in the name of a lover. She was curious about where my deep affection came from. I will spend my whole life answering. It came from the previous life. Story 2. After my rebirth, I proactively placed the divorce agreement in front of Zhou. He didn't even glance at it and tossed the document aside, saying, I won't give you custody of our son. I don't want custody. Zhou looked up. You've come to terms with it. Yes, I have. In my previous life, I couldn't bear to leave my son behind and clung to Zhou for most of our lives, until our son grew up. But on his wedding day, he declared in front of everyone, I hope my mom can make way for my dad and Aunt Lin. Aunt Lin has had it tough staying with my dad all these years. I will never do my homework. You forcing me won't help. 8-year-old Zhou Ran was sprawled on the floor, throwing a tantrum, looking utterly defiant. And such scenes occurred daily. I insisted he finish his homework before playing. I limited his TV time to half an hour. I only allowed him to eat fried chicken burgers once a week. I set many rules for him, hoping to cultivate good habits. but these habits became a joke the day Lin Yaki appeared. He accused me. Aunt Lin never makes me do homework, she just plays with me. Aunt Lin doesn't stop me from eating drumsticks. She says boys need to eat more to grow tall. I don't like you at all. I wish Aunt Lin could be my mom. Even though I was heartbroken to hear these words in my previous life, I chose to forgive him. I thought he was just too young to understand, and that he would appreciate my intentions when he grew up. I still pushed him to study hard, to exercise, and to eat well. As an adult, he graduated from a prestigious university, started his own company, and married a well-matched wife. On his wedding day, the host asked him to thank his parents. In front of all the guests, he said to me, "I hope you can make way for my dad and Aunt Lin, who has been with my dad for so many years." Lin Yaki cried like a fountain below the stage. It seemed as if the hardships she endured over the years were all worth it at that moment, and I, standing on stage, appeared redundant and foolish. "Mom, you forced me to do things I didn't want to do since I was a child. If it weren't for Aunt Lin's quiet warmth and encouragement behind the scenes, I would have been ruined. You and Dad had no marital affection left. Why keep occupying this position, making everyone unhappy?" I don't know how I managed to leave Zhou Ran's wedding in such a daze. All I knew was that after I walked out of the hotel, I was hit by a car due to jaywalking and then unexpectedly reborn. Watching my mischievous son at this moment, I nodded. "Okay, no homework." Zhou Ran, lying on the ground, looked up at me in surprise. "Are you serious?" "Of course," I said calmly. "Can I continue watching TV now?" "Not only can you watch TV, but you can also play on the tablet." "Can I eat chips while playing?" Zhou Ran asked, pushing his luck. "Whatever you want." "Why are you suddenly so nice to me?" Zhou Ran asked in surprise. I just smiled and said nothing. "An ungrateful wretch doesn't deserve my sincerity." "Is it because you're afraid I'll only like Aunt Lin in the future and not you?" Zhou Ran said smugly. "Whatever you want in the future, I'll support it," I said deliberately, pausing between each word, "including your favorite Aunt Lin." After satisfying all of Zhou Ran's unreasonable demands, he became increasingly uncontrollable. The first thing he did after coming home from school was to play on his tablet. He played during meals. He even slept clutching the tablet. If he stayed up too late and couldn't wake up, I wouldn't call him. I let him sleep until he woke up naturally. If he wanted to go to school upon waking, he could. If not, I wouldn't force him. I let him indulge in his favorite snacks. I've had enough of handling everything myself. Even the maid couldn't stand it anymore and kindly advised me, "Madam, by spoiling the young master this way, you're actually ruining him." "How could that be?" I retorted sarcastically. "Forcing him to do things he dislikes would truly be the ruin of him." However, such days didn't last long before my son Zhou Ran's unusual behavior started causing dissatisfaction at school. His homeroom teacher called me, saying that Zhou Ran was being defiant in class, unabashedly telling the teacher, "My parents don't bother with me. What right do you have to do so?" "I'm sorry, I really can't control him. If there's any issue, please contact my husband instead." I gave the teacher my husband's number. After hanging up, I continued with my beauty treatment. When I finished my beauty treatment and returned home, I found Zhou, who rarely comes home, standing in the living room. His face looked extremely unpleasant, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "Shenxi, your tactics are getting more sophisticated, using our son to force me to come back." I did indeed want Zhou to come back. After all, calling him was useless. I can't remember when Zhou and I started having such a hostile relationship. We were clearly in love freely, married voluntarily, shared hardships, and started a business together. Once the company stabilized, I stepped back to focus on supporting my husband and raising our child. I devoted too much energy to our son, and by the time I realized something was off with Zhou, he had already emotionally strayed. His attention was on Lin Yaki, a 20-year-old intern at the company, youthful and delicate. I accidentally saw the messages between Zhou and her. Zhou wrote, "You remind me of my wife when she was young. She was as lovely and delicate as you." "And now?" Lin Yaki asked, sending a curious and cute emoticon. "Now, she's gotten plump, and sometimes being intimate with her feels a bit sickening." I never expected to be perceived that way by Zhou. That incident enraged me like never before. Feeling deeply insulted, I insisted on a divorce. Zhou didn't agree, explaining it was just harmless flirting and told me not to overreact. Both our parents tried to persuade me, mentioning our 2-year-old child, urging me to not hold it against Zhou this time. Josué also swore he would not contact Lin Yaqi again and immediately fired her to show his loyalty to me. Moreover, at that time, Josué indeed hadn't had a real affair with Lin Yaqi. Eventually, I chose to forgive him. I even began to reflect on whether I had indeed focused too much on our child, thereby neglecting Josué and myself. As I tried to change, Josué physically cheated. As I was at the hospital caring for Joiran, who suddenly developed a high fever, I called Josué. He responded impatiently, "Enough, Shinshi, I'm just out for business entertaining, stop finding reasons to force me back." Alone in the hospital with Joiran, I received a photo from Lin Yaqi late at night. It was explicit. She said, "President Zhou says even if you lost weight, you'd still be ugly, not delicate and cute like me." That moment made me realize, once a man cheats, he cheats. There's no distinction between emotional and physical. Once again, I demanded a divorce. This time, Josué didn't refuse, but he insisted that Joiran must stay with him. At that point, for me, Joiran is everything in my life. I have poured all my love into him. He's only 3 years old, his world revolves around me, and without me by his side, he won't sleep until dawn. I can't bear to leave him. I've thought about fighting for custody in court, but I haven't worked for years and can't compete with Josué. Our marriage has been entangled like this. He never gave up on seeking custody. I've always insisted on having it. As time went by, Joiran grew up, and I seemed to have gotten used to this broken marriage. Sometimes, getting used to something can be truly terrifying. I deeply despised Josué's infidelity, yet I ended up spending most of my life with him. Fortunately, fate gave me a chance to start over. I opened the drawer and calmly handed the divorce papers to Josué. When he saw the papers, he laughed sarcastically. "Shinshi, I thought you had come to your senses after all this time without making a fuss. What's this now? Isn't the money I give you each month enough?" "It's not enough," I replied. "How much do you want?" Josué asked generously. "Half of the company's assets." "What are you thinking, Shinshi? Have you lost your mind?" Josué was furious. "The company was founded together by us and belongs to our marital assets. I've consulted a lawyer, and I am rightfully entitled to half," I asserted. "And then," Josué said impatiently, "unless we divorce, all this remains marital property. So isn't that what I'm doing now?" I gestured towards the divorce papers. Josué scoffed dismissively and tossed the papers aside. "I'm not giving you custody of our son. I don't want it." Josué looked up. "Have you come to terms with it?" "I have." Impatiently, Josué picked up the divorce papers again and started to read them seriously. "I didn't ask for more than what I was entitled to. Furthermore, I willingly gave the custody of Joiran to Josué." Josué frowned deeply and put down the papers. "Shinshi, you'd better not regret this. Giving up custody means you can't see our son without my permission." "I know, once we divorce, there's no way we'll get back together, even for the sake of our son," Josué threatened. "Sign it," I urged, not wanting to waste words with Josué. If I hadn't been kept away from him, the first thing I would have done after my rebirth was to seek a divorce from him. Seeing my resolve, Josué signed his name flamboyantly. "Shinshi, you brought this on yourself. If it weren't for your constant pressure, considering our son and our years of history, you could have remained Mrs. Zhou for life. It's you who didn't cherish that." "Who cares?" I said indifferently. In my previous life, maintaining a marriage with Josué was never about clinging to the status of Mrs. Zhou. It was purely the bond of blood. "Pack your things and get out of my house," Josué said as he threw the signed divorce agreement at me. My bags were already packed. I was just waiting to divorce Josué. I turned and walked upstairs. Joiran had also come home from school with Josué, having been told by his teacher to reflect at home for a couple of days before returning to school. He had been hiding in a corner, eavesdropping on my conversation with Josué. Seeing me leave, he hurriedly followed. "Are you really divorcing Dad?" Joiran asked me. "Happy now," I said lightly, carrying my luggage. "No one will be there to boss you around anymore. You can do anything you want," I said softly. "Aren't you afraid that after you divorce Dad, no one will want you anymore?" He asked. "Who told you that no one would want me?" I asked with a laugh, looking at him. "Grandma and Dad both said it," Joiran replied calmly. "They said you're not good enough for Dad, that no one would want you after you divorce him, that you wouldn't dare to divorce Dad." I couldn't help but laugh. I had seen through Josué a long time ago. I didn't expect his mother to be the same. She always pretended to be a good person, complaining about her son in front of me, acknowledging how hard I worked raising the child. Turns out, behind my back, She just saw me as a free nanny for her grandson, but of course, it doesn't matter anymore. From now on, they are just irrelevant people. Just promise me you'll really stay out of my life, as well as Dad's and Aunt Lynn's, and I'll plead with Dad not to divorce you. Joey Rand negotiated with me. No need, I said, gently patting his head. Take good care of yourself from now on, because from now on, his growth has nothing to do with me anymore. I left, dragging 2 large suitcases behind me. I didn't look back. I moved into a nicely furnished apartment I had found in advance, near University A. I'm preparing to take the entrance exams for graduate school. To further my education, Josuyu and I were college classmates. I gave up a guaranteed spot for postgraduate studies to help him start a business. After the business succeeded and we had our son, I shifted my focus to the family. I've always regretted not pursuing a master's or doctoral degree, having been reborn. I deeply realized that one must live for oneself. No one else can truly share your feelings. The day after I moved out of the Zhou family villa, I saw Lin Yaqi had posted on her social media. She had added me first. At the company's anniversary celebration, which I attended with Josuyu, Lin Yaqi complimented my earrings and asked for the link on WeChat. Later, she got the same pair of earrings, not bought by her, but gifted by Josuyu. Her post today read, "Poverty limits my imagination. Is such a huge backyard meant for playing football?" Attached was a photo of the back garden of the Zhou family villa. Clearly, her intention was to declare to the world that she was now openly with Josuyu, no longer the shameful mistress. I promptly liked the post, a match made in heaven, shameless and eternal. After I liked the post, Lin Yaqi immediately messaged me privately, "Shinshi, you wouldn't mind me posting that, right?" Ziyu insisted I post it, saying he's been unfair to me all these years. To provoke me, Lin Yaqi occasionally sent intimate photos of her and Josuyu, or wrote about how much Josuyu loved her. Then she would delete them shortly after, with a quick apology. "Sorry, sent that by mistake." I used to lose my temper and argue with Josuyu because of her antics. Ultimately, it only worsened the relationship between Josuyu and me. He hardly came home anymore. Even taking Joey-ran to celebrate his birthdays with Lin Yaqi, every time Joey-ran returned from Lin Yaqi's place, he would say, "Aunt Lin is so nice to me, she's gentle and beautiful, I want her to be my mom." Looking back, I don't know how I endured it all in my past life. Fortunately, the pain was deep, leaving no room for attachment. I replied with a smile, "Why would I mind? Didn't I already give you a like? Are you showing off for Ziyu?" Lin Yaqi assumed that my divorce from Josuyu was just a spur-of-the-moment decision. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. It wasn't worth wasting time on such people. I was about to block Lin Yaqi. Then she sent another message. "You forgot to take something with you." Impossible. I check every day. There's no way I could have left anything behind. Lin Yaqi then sent a photo. It was a box of condoms. I generously replied, "I've given them to you, they're expired." Lin Yaqi sent a laughing emoji and added, "You haven't finished these from years ago. Ziyu uses several each day here. We can't buy them fast enough." Well, isn't that perfect? The trash I don't want. You enjoy recycling. Consider it making good use of waste. I replied calmly, "Who are you calling trash?" Lin Yaqi was instantly infuriated. As she furiously typed, I blocked her right away. Out of sight, out of mind. After blocking Lin Yaqi, my social circle felt much more refreshing. With no more disturbances, I devoted myself entirely to my graduate entrance exam preparations. A month later, I suddenly received a call from Josuyu. He bluntly asked, "Shinshi, where have you been hiding? If you didn't want to divorce, why the act? It's too late now." I then remembered, today was the last day of the divorce cooling off period. It was time to go to the Civil Affairs office to get the divorce certificate. "I'm heading to the Civil Affairs office right now." I hung up the phone and didn't dare delay a second longer, pressing the gas pedal straight to the Civil Affairs office. Josuyu saw me arrive with a sarcastic smile. When we went to register for the divorce, we had agreed to meet at 10 o'clock this morning. It was already noon, and the staff at the Civil Affairs office had gone off duty. "Shinshi, when you made me sign the divorce papers, I had said regretting it later would be futile. What are you trying to pull today? We must get divorced." Josuyu sneered. "Fine," I agreed readily. "I should thank you. If you hadn't stepped aside, I wouldn't have known how well Lin Yaqi, despite her young age, could take care of children. When you looked after our son, it was chaos, but everything has been perfect since Lin Yaqi came." Josuyu boasted. "Congratulations on marrying such a capable wife," I responded, still being tough. Josuyu said with disdain, Let's see how long you can keep it up. When I received the divorce certificate, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I was afraid that my delay would exhaust Joseyu's patience and he would walk away. I really didn't want to waste another moment on him. Shinshi, Joseyu called out loudly behind me because I was leaving quickly. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. If you ever regret this. I drove off, not wanting to hear another word from Joseyu. Now free, I felt even more motivated in my studies. Every day, apart from studying hard, I made sure to exercise regularly. I couldn't let myself end up with health issues like in my previous life. Half a year later, after relentless effort, I finally succeeded. During this period, Joey Ran called me, hesitantly asking, "Mom, did you miss me?" I honestly replied, "No, because Mom has been very busy. Today is my 9th birthday." He sounded somewhat dejected. "Happy birthday," I smiled as I offered my blessings. "Don't you want to spend my birthday with me? Your father said that without his permission, I can't see you alone. Can't you ask Dad for permission?" Joey Ran was somewhat agitated. "No, I can't. Why must you always be at odds with Dad? Actually, Dad, let's not talk about this anymore. I have important things to do." I took the initiative to hang up Joey Ran's call. This was something that would have never happened before. I used to wait for him to hang up first before I would put down my phone. See, actually, there's nothing that can't be let go of, as long as you're disappointed enough. One late night during my graduate studies, I suddenly received a call from Joseyu. I hadn't blocked Joseyu because I thought he would never contact me first. Indeed, over a year since our divorce, he had been a decent ex, as good as dead, half asleep. I didn't check who was calling. "Hello, Shinshi. I'm not going to give you another chance." Joseyu's voice was cold. "Huh." I was utterly confused. Was he possessed? "Lin Yaki is pregnant with my child, and I'm going to marry her," he declared proudly. "Congratulations," I said politely, though annoyed to be woken up in the middle of the night. "Huh." Joseyu seemed to scoff. Then he hung up the phone. I didn't take it seriously, that is, until I received the wedding invitation from Joseyu and Lin Yaki. I suspected they sent it to the wrong person, but my full name was on the invitation. Of course, just because they invited me didn't mean I had to go. I simply threw the invitation away. But then that day, Joey Ran called me. "Mom, why haven't you arrived?" Arrived where? I hadn't caught on yet. At the hotel for Dad and Aunt Lynn's wedding. I didn't say I was coming, but didn't Dad send you an invitation? "I came early to save you a seat. Why aren't you coming?" Joey Ran's voice was breaking. I felt unmoved and simply said, "I have my own matters to attend to. I can't make it. Thanks for saving me a seat. You can give it to someone else now." As I was about to hang up, "Are those matters more important than me?" Joey Ran asked, devastated. I thought for a moment and answered very seriously, "Yes, they are more important than you. You are not important at all, after rejecting my son." Joseyu called again. "Shinshi, are you unhappy about me marrying Lin Yaki? Are you taking it out on our son?" "What?" I was baffled. "What did you just say to our son? He's been crying." I didn't scold him, I explained. "Stop making excuses. You're just upset that I married Lin Yaki, so you're taking it out on our son." At that moment, I was speechless. "Admit it," Joseyu said coldly, seeing I hadn't responded. "It's too late for regrets now. I wish you and Lin Yaki a lifetime of happiness." After hanging up, I blocked Joseyu as well. I thought that after Joseyu and Lin Yaki's marriage, I thought there would be no more interaction between us. Yet, within less than a month, Joseyu suddenly appeared at the entrance of University A. I was just leaving the lab with my senior, discussing data along the way. Out of the blue, I saw Joseyu waiting for me at the gate with Joey-ran. How did he know I was pursuing my master's degree? When Joseyu saw me, his gaze lingered on the person next to me. It seemed like there was anger in his eyes, or perhaps it was just my imagination. He said sarcastically, "I was wondering why you abandoned your son. It turns out Shinshi has a new love. Does he know you were married and have a son?" "I'm aware." Before I could speak, my senior, Chin-Shiching, responded proactively. "I heard her ex-husband was a scumbag." "Do you know him?" I couldn't help but laugh. Joseyu's face turned dark. He coldly stated, "I need to speak with Shinshi," meaning that he wanted Chin-Shiching to leave. Chin-Shiching ignored him and asked me, "Any trouble?" "No." I smiled at him. "You can go back first. I'll return soon after. Call me if you need anything. I'll call the police for you." "Okay." Chin-Shiching left. "Can't bear to part, can you?" Joseyu mocked. I shifted my gaze back to him. "What do you want? Is it fun to block me?" Joseyu retorted. "Why keep someone irrelevant around?" I responded calmly, so you're abandoning your son too, aren't you? I glanced at Joey-ran. Joey-ran was looking at me with hopeful eyes. I smiled. It's him who doesn't want me, and I respect his choice. I didn't abandon you. Joey-ran quickly said, I want to be with you forever. I approached Joey-ran, noting he had gained weight, and said with a smile, have you forgotten? You told me yourself that you wanted Aunt Lin to be your mom. And now she is. Shouldn't you be happy? Joey-ran's eyes reddened, and he seemed to be struggling. Josuyu cut to the chase. Yaki is pregnant and suffers from gestational syndrome, which makes her easily irritable. The doctor said she needs a quiet environment, so, during this time, our son needs to stay with you. But I'm very busy, the lab workload is huge, and I also need to prepare for my doctoral exams, I said, clearly distressed. Is reading some books more important than your son? Josuyu exploded upon hearing this. What use is there in getting old and still studying? How much money can it bring? Isn't the property I divided enough for your lifetime? Shinshi, what are you pretending for here? I didn't want to argue with Josuyu, but some people really push their limits. Taking a deep breath, I asked him, Josuyu, in all the years we were together, did I ever wrong you? Why bring this up all of a sudden? Josuyu grew agitated. I have never wronged you. I've been dedicated to you, our son, and our former home. Now that we're divorced, and you insisted on custody, and our son said he preferred Lin Yaki, I facilitated everyone's wishes. Now I'm living my own life. How am I in the wrong? When did I say you were wrong? Then why question my pursuit of a master's and a doctorate? Isn't this a critical period? Can't you, for the sake of our son, why do I always have to make sacrifices? I asked Josuyu coldly, laughing, when we graduated from university together. You asked me to give up my research opportunity to start a business with you. After our business succeeded and we had our son, you wanted me to sacrifice my career to return to the family. Then, after our divorce, as you wished, I gave up custody of our son. The more I spoke, the more absurd it seemed to me. Now, you have a new family and no longer need your son. You want me to sacrifice myself again to contribute to your happiness. Josuyu, don't you think you're being shameless? When did I say I no longer needed my son? I only said that during Lin Yaki's pregnancy, you could temporarily take care of him. I will double the child support, Josuyu retorted, clearly agitated by my words. What if Lin Yaki gets postpartum depression? Or develops nervous exhaustion after that? There are so many ailments one can have, I said sarcastically. Yaki isn't like that. She cares deeply for our son, as if he were her own, Josuyu insisted, catching the implication in my words. If that's the case, then how would our son possibly affect Lin Yaki's pregnancy? Isn't that contradictory? Josuyu was left speechless. There was a moment of silence. Suddenly, our son, Joey-ran, who was already 10 and understood much of our conversation, distressingly asked, Mom, do you really not want me anymore? I haven't abandoned you. I'm just reassured knowing you have Aunt Lin as your new mom. I gently told Joey-ran. Previously, to ensure Iran studied well, I often had to play the villain. Now, with no expectations, I vowed to never speak harshly to him again. However, Joey-ran seemed dissatisfied, saying, Mom, don't smile at me like that. It makes me feel like you don't love me. I stroked his head. How could I not love you? I just don't want to force you to do things you dislike, which might ruin you as you grow up. Enough, Shinshi, Josuyu interrupted, weary of my tone and perhaps feeling his pride wounded, as he had never been bested by me before. As he angrily left with Joey-ran, he threatened, since you don't care about your son, I won't ask you anymore. Don't expect him to recognize you as his mother in the future. I shrugged indifferently. Whether or not I tried, when he grew up, he would only recognize Aunt Lin, not me. Why should I suffer unnecessarily? I decided to focus on living the life I truly wanted. Even though it's exhausting every day, it's joyful and fulfilling. Treating oneself well can indeed lead to a good life, if not occasionally interrupted. Today, after finishing a set of experimental data, I looked at my phone, which was on silent, and saw several missed calls from unknown numbers. I returned the call, and it was Josuyu. Shinshi, come to the hospital. Your son had an accident and is injured. He's been hospitalized. I hesitated but eventually went to the hospital. Regardless of everything, Joey-ran is still my biological son. Even if there's no affection, there's still responsibility. I just arrived at the hospital room door. I could hear the heated argument inside. Lin Yaki screamed, Josuyu, how long will it take for you to send your son away? If you don't do it soon, I might end up dying at his hands. it'll be a double tragedy. Look, Iran doesn't dislike you, why can't you just leave him alone? He even broke a bone falling down the stairs, and you didn't show the slightest concern. Josué raised his voice too. So, what, you want to see me fall down the stairs next? If I die, you'd have a reason to get back with Shinshi and have your perfect little family reunion, right? Enough, Lin Yaqi, stop being unreasonable. Iran needs to recover. Josué lost his patience. Well, I'll show you what being unreasonable is, Lin Yaqi pressed aggressively. I'm laying it out today, either you get rid of your son or I'll jump off a building with the child in my womb. Iran is only 10, where do you expect him to go? Josué's voice trembled with anger. I don't care where he goes, I just can't stand seeing him anymore. Lin Yaqi was adamant, otherwise, prepare for a tragedy. With that, Lin Yaqi turned and left. As soon as she stepped out of the hospital room, she ran into me. Lin Yaqi was clearly taken aback when she saw me. I was stunned too. Was this still the delicate, youthful girl from before, now heavily pregnant? She could easily be mistaken for an older expectant mother. It had been only 2 years. Shinshi, what are you doing here? Lin Yaqi was like a lit fuse, ready to explode at anyone. I heard from Josué that Iran was hospitalized, so I came to visit him. Are you here to see Iran or Josué? What, trying to seduce Josué while I'm pregnant? Is she out of her mind? But her being irrational anytime and anywhere isn't surprising, though I hadn't seen Lin Yaqi in the past 2 years, but having been with Josué for many years, we share common friends. Occasionally, I hear from them that ever since Lin Yaqi found out she was having a boy, she started causing trouble nonstop. Any slightly attractive female staff at Josué's company would be accused by her of trying to seduce him, pushing them to resign. She also didn't allow Josué to attend any social events. If he did go, she would show up and create a scene, causing him to lose many major projects. They say Josué was nearly driven mad by Lin Yaqi. Listening to all this, I found it somewhat amusing. How could anyone be driven mad like that? Josué actually loved Lin Yaqi's lively spirit. I'm giving you a warning. Josué suddenly burst out of the room, shouting at Lin Yaqi. He looked furious enough to devour her. Lin Yaqi probably hadn't seen Josué this angry before and seemed a bit frightened. Then she straightened her belly, as if gaining some courage, and shouted at Josué, if you dare to wrong me, I'll die just to show you, and you better deal with your son, or it's never over between us. Lin Yaqi turned and left. Josué was shaking with rage. I stood by, watching the drama unfold. Do you think I deserve this? Josué suddenly asked me. I suppressed my smile. It's none of my business, so I won't comment. I never expected Lin Yaqi to change so much during pregnancy. I'm not interested in your issues with her. I reminded him. I came to see your son. Josué said no more. I entered Iran's hospital room. He lay on the bed, his eyes red. Clearly, he had heard his dad and Lin Yaqi arguing. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up and he excitedly called out, Mom. I nodded, rather unenthusiastically. I simply asked him how he was doing. He told me that when he came home from school today and was going upstairs, he ran into Lin Yaqi. He claimed that Lin Yaqi deliberately pushed him down the stairs, but Lin Yaqi insisted that he didn't want her to have another child who would compete for attention. So he tried to push her down the stairs to harm the baby she was carrying. Lin Yaqi acted in self-defense and accidentally pushed Iran down the stairs. Iran also said that Lin Yaqi was very cruel to him, that her previous kindness was all an act. Ever since she married his father, she secretly hit and scolded him, calling him an unwanted wild child. She always forced him to eat chicken leg burgers, even when he didn't want to, saying that he only deserved such junk food. The more Iran spoke, the more he cried. I listened but remained calm, indifferently. I reminded him, you shouldn't be telling me these things. You should talk to your dad or your grandmother. They don't believe me. They only believe Aunt Lin. Iran cried sorrowfully. They only care about the child in her womb. They don't care about me at all. They don't love me. They despise me. Mom, can I come live with you? Iran clung to me tightly. I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't say bad things about you anymore. Mom, I know you really love me. It was all my fault before. I shouldn't have spoken ill of you and disliked you. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Iran kept crying. He was truly afraid that I didn't want him anymore. But the truth is, I didn't want him anymore. I gently but distantly pushed his hand away and said, Iran, everyone must take responsibility for their choices. When you chose Aunt Lin, Mom had already left your world, but I regret it now. I know I was wrong. If you regret it, then you should change yourself, not try to change me, I said calmly. My life now will not change for anyone, especially not for you and Joseu. I coldly left Joiran's hospital room. There was no possibility of forgiveness, nor had I ever considered forgiving him. Shinshi, when did you become so cold-hearted? Iran is your own son, how can you just abandon him? Don't you feel that you owe him? Joseu stood at the door of the hospital room, angrily confronting me. I paused, responding methodically to Joseu. Firstly, according to our divorce agreement, I have been providing child support every month. I have fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother and have not neglected him. Secondly, Joiran is also your biological son, and you have custody. So you should be the one to manage your household affairs and ensure that Joiran has a comfortable living environment. Lastly, our marriage ended because of your infidelity. You have no right to say that I owe Joiran anything. If anyone owes him, it's you. Joseu flushed with embarrassment. After a moment, he seemed to muster great courage and asked me, Shinshi, must I humble myself before you? I looked at him, puzzled. By doing this, you want me to apologize to you voluntarily? To say that I regret divorcing you to marry Lin Yaqi? Fine, I admit, I was wrong. I shouldn't have fallen for Lin Yaqi's seduction back then. It was wrong of me to let her ruin our relationship and marriage, and to divorce you because of her. Joseu said, his regret tinged with arrogance. He continued, I promise you, once Lin Yaqi has had the baby and the law allows, I will divorce her immediately and we can be together again. I remained silent, utterly shocked by Joseu's words. I couldn't fathom how shameless a person could be to say such things so matter-of-factly. I know you've been single these past 2 years, Joseu added. You've been improving yourself, focusing on your studies and keeping fit. Is it all just to make me regret, to make me see? So you think I'm living my life just to show you? I couldn't help but laugh. Shinshi, we're not getting any younger. There's no need to go through these motions, just take the deal. I'm not that patient. Joseu seemed uninterested in a drawn-out conversation. He said, I still have a large flat. You and our son can move there first. After I divorce Lin Yaqi, you can move back into the villa. I didn't respond, just looked at Joseu and laughed. Joseu was getting frustrated. What are you laughing at? Are you that happy? I'm laughing at how someone can be so utterly shameless. Shinshi, Joseu fumed. I don't know where you get the confidence from. Thinking I would remarry a reckless man who's been irresponsible in his relationships and is arrogantly proud of it. Am I sick? You better watch what you're saying, Shinshi. I'm only giving you this chance for our son's sake. Don't push it. Keep this wonderful opportunity for someone else. I can't afford it, I said emphatically, and I'm not interested. Stop being sarcastic. Joseu couldn't hide his anger. You don't really think that a divorced woman in her 30s with a 10-year-old child will be sought after by men? They're just playing with you. Which man would seriously marry such a woman? Why, you can remarry, can't you? I retorted. Are men and women the same? Can a man not change his ways and be valued like gold? What about women? Joseu was utterly scornful. So this was why Joseu felt no remorse about his repeated infidelities within the marriage. As a man, he was far too pleased with himself. I don't need your concern. Even if no man wants me for the rest of my life, I wouldn't consider you again. I flatly refused. Before Joseu could speak, I added, moreover, who said a woman needs a man to live? Why can't I enjoy being independent? I'm doing just fine on my own. Why should I serve someone else? Can't I spend money? Can't I enjoy my days? Do I lack arms or legs that I absolutely need a man? Joseu was left red-faced by my words. The more I spoke, the more amused I became, and I left laughing. I really don't understand how, in this day and age, Joseu's male chauvinism can still be taken for granted. In my past life, I must have had my head caught in a door to have put up with him for so long. After parting ways with Joseu on bad terms, he didn't bother me again. I successfully stayed on at the university to pursue my PhD, continuing to explore the academic field I love. There was a college reunion. I initially didn't want to go, but my former roommate, who had always been persuasive, insisted, and mentioned Joseu wouldn't be there. He said there was a mess at home and that he couldn't come, so I agreed to attend the event. During the banquet, a classmate couldn't help gossiping. Did you guys know? Joseu was almost driven crazy by his mistress. Then he turned to look at me. Shinshi, you don't mind us talking about your ex-husband, right? Why should I mind? He's my ex after all. I said with a laugh. Well, I'm not holding back then. The classmate went on, revealing more. Joseu's mistress is really something. always causing drama, using her status as the mother of his child. She embarrasses Joseu in public, bans attractive female employees from his company, and even disrupts his business dinners. She's practically ruining his company. It's said she's even trying to kick Joseu's oldest son out of the house to make way for her own son. But that's not even the main point. There's an even bigger bombshell. The other classmates were all curious, pressing him for more details. With exaggerated excitement, the classmate declared, "The child born to Joseu's mistress isn't even his." Really? No way. How did they find out? Everyone was asking at once. When the baby was born, they did a blood type test. Right, the son is type O, Joseu is type AB. It's impossible for him to father a type O child. So Joseu must be furious, right? This is like being cuckolded, and to think his mistress has been so brazen because of this child. Joseu might as well have killed her, exclaimed the classmate. I heard Joseu almost did kill her, and now they seem to be going through divorce proceedings, because he hit her. I heard the divorce is going to cost him a lot. Listening to all this, I thought, who says there's no justice? My roommate cheekily asked me, hearing all this gossip, don't you think coming here was worth it? I nodded. Indeed, it was quite satisfying. However, just as the reunion was about to end, nobody expected Joseu to suddenly appear. We had been talking about him all evening, and seeing him in person made everyone somewhat awkward. Is it over? Joseu appeared quite composed. It's over, the class president hurriedly replied. Sorry, I was held up by something. No worries, let's catch up another time, said the class president straightforwardly. Normally, we might have stayed longer with Joseu, but this time we just dispersed. Joseu didn't say much else. Classmates began leaving one after another. I had drunk a bit and didn't drive, so I was standing by the roadside hailing a cab. I'll give you a ride. Joseu rolled down his car window. No need. I refused. Come on, it's on the way. Really, no thanks. With no other choice, he stopped the car and came over to me. I pretended not to see him. You must have heard about how Linyaki played me, Joseu said. I just heard. I didn't hide my amusement. It's really quite funny. Today, Linyaki and I officially divorced. Joseu looked at me. I didn't respond. After all, it was none of my business, and I wasn't interested. Last time, I wasn't sincere enough. Joseu suddenly said in a subdued tone, I've regretted it for a long time. Just couldn't swallow my pride to ask you. Looking at him, I found it amusing. You can swallow your pride now. What? Suddenly no one wants you? Aren't men considered priceless once they've truly changed? Shouldn't she? I admit I was harsh before, but I never intended to hurt you. I just didn't know how else to get you back, Joseu said helplessly, so I resorted to reverse psychology. Thanks for your reverse psychology. It only succeeded in making you more repulsive to me. Joseu's face flushed red and then turned pale from my words. He said, shouldn't she? I'm sorry. I really realize my mistakes now. I swear, I won't do anything to hurt you again. Let's start over. Just you, me, and our son, the three of us. The three of us. How could he even dare to say those words? I could barely contain my disgust. Come back home with me. Joseu reached out to me. I skillfully avoided his hand. Joseu, somewhat embarrassed, continued, our son is waiting at home. He's really missed you these past few years and regrets the things he said to you. It's not just him, I have regrets too. So, can you forgive us just this once? I can't forgive you. I shook my head. My response was firm. Shouldn't she? Why should I forgive just because you regret? What about all the suffering I went through? What about the enlightenment I gained over a lifetime? I asked him coldly. A lifetime? Joseu didn't understand. There was no need for me to explain further. I coldly stated, from the moment we divorced, it was truly over between us. You don't need to waste your time coming after me, and don't use our son to try to reconcile. It's useless. Not only is it useless, but you also annoy me because you disrupt my life. Are you worried I won't really change? Joseu asked. It has nothing to do with me. If I were you, I'd have concerns too. Joseu seemed to understand me, saying, I'll show you. How much clearer can I be? I will not get back together with you. Aren't you still single? Joseu assumed my being single meant I was waiting for him to reform. I had no strength left to explain. Joseu was too confident. He thought that just by turning around, I would definitely be waiting there for him. Let him think what he wants. Eventually, he'll realize that I've long moved on, far beyond his reach and unworthy of me. Half a year later, at the centennial celebration of University A. All alumni of University A were invited to attend. The campus was bustling. as a distinguished alumnus, I stood at the podium in the grand auditorium. The hall was packed, including Josué among the audience. He probably couldn't believe that I was standing on such a prestigious and significant platform. Behind me on the big screen were all my academic achievements over the years. Achievements that would leave a permanent mark in the university's centennial history. After my speech, thunderous applause filled the hall. I thought I heard someone shouting, "Senior sister, you're amazing." I smiled and bowed before leaving. Walking through the campus, many students came up to me, wanting photos and autographs. After finally managing to send off waves of students, I saw Josué and his much-grown son, Reborn, appearing before me. Reborn excitedly said, "Mom, I just saw your speech in the auditorium, and I'm so proud of you. Everyone around was saying how incredible you were." I smiled faintly, offering a polite thank you before turning to leave. "Shinshi," Josué called out to me nervously. I looked back at him. His eyes still carried a look of surprise, as if he couldn't pinpoint when I had started to change. I had become completely different from the middle-aged woman he remembered, who used to revolve solely around him and our son. He sincerely expressed, "You were really impressive today. I hadn't expected you to achieve so much in the academic field." "So, have you finally come to realize?" I asked him, with a hint of mockery. Josué's face showed a trace of embarrassment, but he quickly masked it, saying, "It's not because of your achievements that I want to reconcile. I've been wanting to get back together even when I didn't know about them. I know you've always resented me for betraying you," Josué said anxiously. Seemingly realizing that I was drifting further away from him, he said passionately, "The truth is, I've always loved you. My thing with Lin Yaki was just a fleeting attraction and male vanity. I never once thought of divorcing you. Lin Yaki and I were just play acting." It felt like the biggest joke I had ever heard in this life and the past one, but I did not interrupt him. Josué continued regretfully, "The reason I insisted on having our son's custody was to avoid divorce. Knowing you wouldn't bear to part with him, but I never expected you to actually give up the custody, leaving me no choice but to agree to the divorce. After the divorce, I never intended to be with Lin Yaki. I'd been waiting for you to come back. I even took precautions every time I was with Lin Yaki because I never thought about having a child with her. So, I should be grateful to you for the magnanimous act of using protection while betraying me emotionally and physically." Lin Yaki said she was pregnant, and I didn't think much of it, never suspecting she might be cheating on me. "I thought the contraception just failed," Josué said, still unable to hide his anger. He paused for several seconds before continuing, "When Lin Yaki insisted on a commitment, I actually didn't agree. Do you remember that night I called you? If you had just said not to marry Lin Yaki, I wouldn't have, but you said nothing, and in anger, I agreed to marry her. Even on the day I married Lin Yaki, I was still waiting for you to stop the wedding. If you had come, I would have chosen you, but you didn't. I had no choice but to marry Lin Yaki." Listening to Josué's so-called love for me was really hard to assess. He continued in agony, "After marrying Lin Yaki, she caused endless dramas, making me a laughingstock in the business world. That's when I truly realized how good you were to me, how tolerant. I even wished I could divorce her immediately and get back together with you, but she was pregnant, and legally I couldn't divorce her, so I hoped you would wait for me. I even thought about using our son to win you back, but you kept refusing me. Do you know how scared I was? I was terrified of never being able to find you again." Josué's eyes were reddened, yet I found it utterly ridiculous. At least, I never felt his fear then. He still acted superior in front of me. Later, Lin Yaki had a son, but he wasn't mine. I was extremely angry yet relieved. I could finally divorce Lin Yaki and be with you. Josué looked at me with hope in his eyes. "Shinshi, I'm sorry. I used to be terribly wrong. From now on, if I ever do anything to hurt you again, I'll cut off my own legs. Mom, I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't break your heart again." Reborn followed with a promise. I watched the father and son. I saw their remorse, their deep affection, and their anticipation, yet, I remained unmoved. Seeing no response from me, Josué spoke again. "Shinshi, won't you come back to us? Let us make up for the hurt we caused you." "Okay, no need." I shook my head. "I've healed from those wounds a long time ago. I don't need them, and I certainly don't care for them anymore." "Shinshi, Josué, don't you think that you're no longer worthy of me?" I cut him off, mocking his presumptuousness. Josué quickly tried to clarify his stance. "Shinshi, it's you the person I like, whether it's the you from the past or the you now, regardless of whether you're outstanding or not, and why should I being so outstanding, settle for scraps? I asked him with a laugh, not sparing him any dignity. His face turned red, probably out of shame. Still, he didn't give up. He said, "Shinshi, haven't you always been single?" So, being single is his reason to assume I would come back to him. I smiled and turned my gaze away. Shinji-chan quickly came to my side and naturally wrapped his arms around me, clearly eager for my acknowledgement. He casually greeted Josuyu and Joiran, ex-brother-in-law, and big son. Josuyu's eyes were fixed on Shinji-chan's hands around my waist. "Shinshi, to reject me? Did you have to pick just anyone?" "It's not just anyone." I knew what Josuyu was about to say, but I ran out of patience and spoke bluntly. "I've been single for so many years because I enjoyed being alone. Now, I'm not single because I find this man worthy enough to start a new marriage with." I watched as Josuyu struggled to accept this, then twisted the knife a bit more. "So, my being single or not has nothing to do with you. It's about my own choice, and you, in my heart, are just a nobody." With that said, I left. Arm in arm with Shinji-chan. As we were leaving, Shinji-chan suddenly turned back and said, "Shinshi is pregnant, with twins." He knew exactly how to strike at the heart. I didn't look back at Josuyu and Joiran's expressions. I only faintly heard Joiran asking Josuyu with a sobbing voice, "Dad, does Mom really not want us anymore?" "Yes." Josuyu's voice was restrained. "She really doesn't. She hasn't for a long time." It was him who had been deceiving himself all along. Story 2. People always said Zhou Qinchuan was indifferent and aloof, but he pursued me like a dog for 10 years, until I was pushed into a raging fire. He didn't hesitate to abandon his fortune worth hundreds of millions and followed me into the inferno. Reborn into this life, I decided not to be the bad woman who kept him hanging, and instead devoted myself wholeheartedly to treating him well. Unfortunately, it seems he was reborn too. Lin Huan. "Do you still want to treat me like a dog like in your past life?" I was cornered by him, forced to sign a divorce agreement. He said he would never want me in this lifetime, absolutely never. When I was 11, someone cruelly broke 5 of my fingers. From that moment, I vowed to become someone at the pinnacle of this world, by any means necessary, without scruples. Later, I did many wrong things and eventually, I was retaliated against and pushed into a fire. As I was being swallowed by the flames, I thought of nothing, but then, a white figure burst into my view and held me tight. It was Zhou Qinchuan, my husband, the man who loved me so deeply, a man without any blemishes in his life except for me. As we turned to ash, I thought, if there is another life, I swear I'll dedicate my heart and soul to only being good to him. 2. This is the divorce agreement, sign it. The flickering lights made my thoughts swirl. The man standing opposite lowered his eyes, hiding the coldness in his gaze. "Zhou Qinchuan, don't be like this." I tried to grab his hand, his veins throbbed, and he quickly withdrew his hand. This was the first hour and 41 minutes of my rebirth. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable sense of relief. Zhou Qinchuan finally realized I was a bad woman who deceived him out of his money and emotions. He didn't want me anymore. 3. I sat in a cake shop, looking through the thin glass, watching 2 figures swaying in the opposite school building. Zhou Qinchuan surely didn't know I was secretly watching him explain a problem to that girl, who was nearly clinging to his sleeve. Yes, in this life, Zhou Qinchuan should know who is kind and who is innocent, but still, I propped up my chin and sent a message to that girl. "Xiaomiao, how are you seducing your brother-in-law?" 4. Lin Xiaomiao is my younger sister. To be precise, she is the real daughter, and I am the fake one. I was picked up by Lin's mother on a stormy day when I was 12. Everyone thought it was a coincidence, but it wasn't. To make Lin's mother find me pitiful on that rainy day, I deliberately broke my own leg. I wanted glory and wealth, to be above everyone else, to never taste that bone-deep humiliation again. When Lin Xiaomiao was 16, she was found and brought back to the Lin family. She was always kind, innocent, and pure, the things I had to break my bones to achieve. She obtained without doing anything. I hated her. I wondered why she didn't have to fall into the mire and taste the pain. 5. I am such a wicked and bad woman. So, in my past life, I suffered a lot. Perhaps, Lin Xiaomiao was really like what those people described. She was like a goddess, so I must have angered the gods. In this life, the only person who loved me also abandoned me. I curled up on the sofa, staring at the divorce agreement on the coffee table. "Zhou Qinchuan, are you coming home tonight?" This message lying in my phone had gone unanswered for 4 whole hours. Zhou Qinchuan's disposition was always indifferent, his friends always complain that he is as cold as ice, but in my past life, I never felt that way. To me, he was like my dog, he would come whenever he smelled me, always rubbing against me, ready to hold my hand the moment it was free. Forget not replying to messages. If I said one thing, he would respond eagerly with 10, but now, a message popped up, and I thought it was from him. I hurried to check, but it wasn't. It was from Lin Xiaomiao, a message accompanied by a picture. Sister, I didn't mean to seduce your husband, I just want to help manage our father's company. So your husband was just introducing me to some people. In the photo, the girl stood next to him with a charming smile. They looked like a perfect match. I must have called Zhou Qinchuan a dozen times, he didn't pick up, and eventually, he just blocked me. Actually, Zhou Qinchuan was never good with social niceties, he was all about academia. In my past life, to take some shares of my father's company from Lin Xiaomiao, I asked him to help me win over those in the pharmaceutical industry. He did it without a word of complaint. I never considered that he was a professor from a prestigious university, too dignified to bow down and beg favors from those people. I only remember one incident from my past life. I was discussing a partnership and got drunk, so I called him to pick me up. The private room was filled with influential figures, and as I leaned against the sofa, I watched his pale figure approach step by step. Come here, calling him over as if teasing a dog, a highly respected medical professor. A man who never lowered his chin in his daily life. Being joked about by me in public like that must have felt exhilarating at the time. Everyone thought he would storm out, but what did Zhou Qinchuan do then? He walked up to me step by step, then he naturally squatted down and grasped my ankle. He adjusted my dangling high heel. Looking up, his eyebrows seemed like a gentle mural. It's getting colder tonight, don't catch a cold. Huan. He liked calling me that, but after being reborn, he never called me that again. I'm a light sleeper, so I woke up the moment he came home. I lay there, wanting to see what he would do seeing me completely unguarded, but he just walked past me, not even willing to cover me with a blanket. I sat up and threw the divorce papers at his back. The man paused, his spine attractively visible. Don't damage it, if I have to draft it again, you won't get as much. Under the moonlight, I sat there watching him, his tone calm. A shadow of a cloud hid in his pupils, mixed with obscure coldness. I won't sign. I stared at him intently. He seemed to expect it, nodding. Okay, then we'll go to court. Zhou Qinchuan, you bastard. I lunged at him, trying to grab him, but he subdued me easily. Under the curved moonlight, he pinned me on the couch. His hand gripped my neck, not gently at all. I bit the base of his thumb. He seemed not to feel the pain, but suddenly, he let go. A gentle touch brushed across my cheek. So you can cry too. He left these cold and ambiguous words behind, leaving me alone in the living room. I pressed my eyes shut tightly, as if that would stop the tears from spilling out. Don't leave me behind. I made a vow when I was 10, never to say those words again. I refused to sign the divorce papers. The next day, Zhou Qinchuan withdrew from all collaborations related to me. The Zhou family owns a significant part of the medical industry, and he is a top scholar in this field, I admit. In my previous life, I married him for profit. I knew he didn't want me anymore, but still, when I found out he had shifted all the projects to collaborate with Lin Xiaomiao, my heart felt a dull pain, although I also felt this was just. In my previous life, he truly saw through me. Lin Xiaomiao was so pure and clean, unlike me, who was accustomed to achieving goals through dirty means. His withdrawal from the collaboration served as a warning to others in the field, and suddenly, I found myself completely isolated. I decided to try and win Zhou Qinchuan over again. Zhou Qinchuan, are you at school? I made some lunch, can I bring it over? I didn't dare to hope that he still had feelings for me, but I genuinely hoped he could remember our past and not be too ruthless. Staring at my phone, which showed no response, I felt my face thickening with shame. After yesterday's quarrel, when it came to matters of benefit, I still had to beg. I planned to cook him a delicious meal and deliver it personally. Then I realized a problem. I had no idea what Zhou Qinchuan liked to eat. On the contrary, he probably knew my likes and dislikes by heart, as feeding me all sorts of delicacies was his greatest obsession in his previous life. I wasn't that delicate, but I enjoyed being capricious in front of him. Zhou Qinchuan, this noodle is too hard. Zhou Qinchuan, who would eat such soft noodles? Zhou Qinchuan, I don't like spicy food. Zhou Qingchuan, when did you start cooking so blandly? He only got angry with me once. His dark eyebrows and eyes stared at me intensely, his tone cold and serious. Huan, do you think I will always stand by your side? I looked down at my manicured nails and told him, then you can leave. That was my response. And he really did leave. In sub-zero weather, he stormed out without his coat, probably fuming with anger. Around evening, I sent him a message, Zhou Qingchuan, I miss you. Within moments, the door was opened, he suddenly pulled me into his arms, the cold air mixing with his warmth, his tall nose pressed against my neck, and I heard him say, yes, I will always stand by your side. You see, training Professor Zhou in my previous life was even simpler than training a dog. The third time I cut my hand until it bled, staring at the boiling unknown substance in the pot, I snapped back from my memories, realizing that I was not talented in cooking. I ended up ordering takeout from Linchuan Pavilion, and transferred it into my own thermos. After all, there wasn't much difference between home-cooked and takeout, probably. Sorry, sister, I didn't know you also brought lunch for Teacher Zhou. He has already eaten the meal I made. Lin Xiaomiao stood in front of me, visibly flustered and panicking. Call him brother-in-law. I smiled at her, noticing her hands tighten within her sleeves. Zhou Qingchuan. I stood in front of the man who was eating his meal, head bowed, ignoring me. I took the chopsticks from his hand and replaced the lunchbox in front of him with mine. He stared at the dish for a moment before finally fixing his deep, dark eyes on me. Look, I extended my hand, covered in band-aids. Towards him, I got these cuts while cooking for you. It took me a long time. Won't you eat my cooking? I met his gaze calmly, yet it felt as if I was on the verge of shattering. Finally, he sighed. Lin Huan, this dish looks exactly like the ones from Linchuan Ge. Did you learn it from them? I pretended not to understand the teasing in his words and decided to just let everything go. Zhou Qingchuan, just tell me if you will eat it or not. It seemed like whenever I got angry, he would soften and coax me. I was used to this, but I had forgotten that this wasn't the same as our past lives. Yet, he still bowed his head and slowly ate the seafood congee in front of him, obediently, just like the Zhou Qingchuan of our past life who would do anything I asked. After finishing, he watched me as I bent over for the first time to clean up the lunchbox. Lin Huan, he called my name, clear and refreshing like a stream. I'm allergic to seafood, after 2 lifetimes. You still can't remember. Shocked, I looked up at him. His usually pale wrist was now noticeably red and rashy, plainly visible to me. Is torturing me to death the only thing that makes you happy? Zhou Qingchuan had a severe seafood allergy, from the redness starting at his wrist to his incessant coughing and eventually difficulty in breathing. It only took a few minutes. How could you let him touch seafood at all? The doctor said if we had brought Mr. Zhou in any later, he might have died. Sister, how could you not know about this? Why didn't you know? At the hospital door, Lin Xiaomiao looked at me with teary eyes, her voice tinged with a cry. She liked Zhou Qingchuan. I knew that, otherwise, I wouldn't have given him a second glance in our past lives. Well, he drank it himself, didn't he? I weakly defended myself when the door to the hospital room opened. The nurse nodded, indicating the patient was awake. Through the slightly open door, I saw Zhou Qingchuan sitting on the bed, looking at me. It seemed he had heard every word of my feeble defense. His gaze was empty, void of anything, even disappointment. Lin Xiaomiao rushed to his bedside. Mr. Zhou, how are you? I followed, but the man, silent for a long time, suddenly coughed. Lin Huan, his voice was low, his dark eyes staring straight at me. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively walked towards him. Can you never appear in front of me again? This was Zhou Qingchuan's request. I don't know why my reaction was even more intense than his. I stormed out of the hospital room, slamming the door behind me. Yes, I manipulated situations. I was heartless. I was utterly wicked. But why? Why couldn't he still stand by my side? Why couldn't he just stand by my side? No matter what kind of person I was, he chose Lin Xiaomiao over me. When I got home, I happened to spot the stuffed toy lying on the sofa. It was a limited edition dragon that he won for me before we got married. He thought of it as just an ordinary gift. Back then, I had no clue that to win this dragon, he had scoured 5 malls and emptied 4 claw machines. In the end, he presented it to me in a bar. That day, I had him drink a lot. His ears turned red, slightly tipsy. He pulled out the dragon from behind his back. Lin Huan, he called my name. Can you look at me? He hid behind the dragon, waving its claws at me. Can I stay by your side, even if, it was a faint sigh. barely audible next to me. He threw away all the dignity of being Zhou Qingchuan. Even if I have to be the backup, that's fine. It turns out, memories really do haunt you in the dead of night. As I stood at the door of Zhou Qingchuan's hospital room past midnight, that's what I thought. The night was silent, the curtains barely covering the window. I stood beside his bed, looking down at the man who seemed restless even in his sleep. Zhou Qingchuan's face, undoubtedly, had the charm that made college girls daydream about him. With his high nose bridge and sharp brow bones, he always carried an air of pride. How come? He's been entangled with me for most of my life. I unconsciously leaned closer, only to find myself caught in his cold, deep gaze. He had woken up at some point, leaning against the headboard, watching me. His look was so cold, I instinctively stepped back. Have you finally grown to dislike me? I sniffled. For some reason, under the dim moonlight, I suddenly found myself smirking at him with a bit of self-mockery. Surprised, he said, clearly biting each word, "Shouldn't I dislike you?" I felt a dark sharpness expanding around him. He sat up straight, his earnestness heartbreaking. "You're so selfish, so utilitarian, always resorting to the lowest tactics. Shouldn't I dislike you, Lin Huan? But so what, Zhou Qingchuan? Are you telling me you just found out I'm like this?" For some reason, tonight I was easily provoked. The night was uneasy, and for the first time, I wasn't so effortlessly poised in front of him. I grabbed his collar, feeling his anger too, as the blue veins on his neck stood out prominently. "What's wrong? You don't want me anymore? Or do you think Lin Xiaomiao is better? That's why you're so affectionate with her. Let me tell you, even if we divorce, I won't let you have a happy future. If I can't have it, I'll destroy it. For someone like me, who lives in the mire and can't stand the sight of any bright light, it's impossible for them to reach a so-called happy ending." I bared my teeth at him, but was met with his clear, calm eyes. He leaned back on the bed, a faint smile on his lips as he looked at me. "Ah Juan, when did you become so irritable, so easily stirred up? You've lost." I suddenly let go of his collar. Yes, what am I doing? Not only exposing my weaknesses. At this moment, if I wanted to find a way to get through the current difficulties, the best solution would be to appease the man in front of me. In my past life, I was adept at this, but looking at the man who now sat composedly before me, my throat felt clogged, and I couldn't speak. After a while, I swallowed the words, "Please, I beg you." Instead, I said, "Fine, just you wait, Zhou Qingchuan, I can do just fine without you. Also, I will not lose, refuse to lose, and absolutely cannot lose." I walked out of the hospital room in high heels. Falling out with Zhou Qingchuan meant giving up on him completely. No matter how you look at it, it was an impractical plan. But I no longer wanted to bow down to him. It was you who gave up everything to join me in hell in our past lives. You who always clung to me. You endured my deceit for so long. And I had already decided to treat you well. I had already started to see you as family. Why then? I stared at my reflection in the elevator mirror. Luckily, I walked away so quickly, he couldn't see my eyes, red and swollen with tears. "Why tell me now? You've come to your senses." It felt like being thrown back into the mire. Zhou Qingchuan's departure triggered a series of chain reactions. Everything unfolded just like in our past lives. Lin Xiaomiao gradually won everyone's favor, while I became the universally despised villain. The only difference was that Zhou Qingchuan, who had always been by my side in the past life, was no longer here. "Miss Lin really knows how to hold her liquor." The middle-aged, slightly corpulent man approached me, reeking of alcohol. I struggled greatly to suppress the urge to pour my drink over his balding head. This collaboration was crucial. My father had already begun to lose hope in me, showing a clear preference for nurturing Lin Xiaomiao. Over the years, my ambition to climb the ranks had made me too many enemies, and what would become of me, an orphan with no support? I might just be kicked back into the mire I came from. "Mr. Wang is joking." I brushed my hair from my forehead, and the man stared at me, almost drooling. But whenever the topic of collaboration came up, he would skillfully change the subject, taking the opportunity to ply me with more alcohol. He was indeed a sly old fox. The discomfort from the alcohol continually assaulted my brain, and I squinted my eyes, drinking another glass amid the cheering crowd. But in a daze, a sharp figure suddenly entered my view. The door of the private room opened. "Ah, Professor Zhou, you finally arrived." The disdainful and lecherous old man who had just been ogling me immediately switched to a flattering demeanor. And this was the first time I saw Zhou Qingchuan in 3 months. He still seemed like a pristine white lotus, untouched by the dirt of the world. "Mr. Wang, the man casually nodded at the others. I'm here to introduce one of my students to you. With that, I saw Lin Xiaomiao timidly peeking from behind Zhou Qingchuan. Now I understood why Mr. Wang had been so evasive earlier. His pharmaceutical company could double its market value if it could connect with Zhou Qingchuan. And with Lin Xiaomiao here, Zhou Qingchuan paving the way meant I had to hand over my deal to her. Strangely, Lin Xiaomiao seemed uninterested, yet she always managed to precisely snatch away everything related to me. The deal fell through. I feared that if I stayed a few seconds longer, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from throwing my drink, half on Mr. Wang's head, half on Zhou Qingchuan's head, so I pretended to greet them and walked out of the private room. But as I supported myself along the hallway, something felt terribly wrong. My body felt strange, as if something was burning up. My head was heavy, my feet light, my body weak. What had that old man, Pa Yongda, put in my drink? The next second, I was abruptly pulled into a corner nearby. I struggled violently, but my body was too weak to fight back. Hee, Miss Zhou, can you just stay still? Everyone knows you're just a cast-off. You were adopted. There was Zhou Qingchuan, and you squandered that. However, if you're willing to spend the night with me, I might just consider giving you this deal. His greasy voice exploded next to my ear. The drug was extremely potent. My limbs were weak. I desperately tried to make some noise, but the club was high-end with good sound insulation, and there was no one around. I could only watch helplessly as that man lecherously reached under my skirt, but suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. I had never been so certain that they were Zhou Qingchuan's footsteps. It was only at that moment that I realized how familiar I was with him. I desperately tried to make a noise, but the man was pressing down on me, choking me, making it hard to breathe. For the first time, tears fell heavily due to physical discomfort. You motherfucker, I heard him panting threats in my ear. Just as the footsteps started to fade, an untimely noise was made. The footsteps stopped, then turned towards us. I struggled fiercely, silently raging. Zhou Qingchuan, come the fuck over here. I'm about to die, but whether out of rage or desperation, the man pressed his fingers harder around my throat. My heart raced as the footsteps stopped right beside us. Suddenly, a timid, sweet voice called from down the hall, Mr. Zhou, there are a lot of people in the room, and I'm really scared by myself. Can you come and keep me company? Don't go to such a dark place. The footsteps abruptly halted. My heart sank into boundless darkness. The next second, I was abruptly pulled into the dimly lit hallway. The man's screams also abruptly resounded in my ears. Zhou Qingchuan seemed to have learned some fighting skills over the years, but when the man was thrown out, I was also shocked. Then, I fell into a less than enthusiastic embrace. Zhou Qingchuan, He took off his coat and draped it over my disheveled form. The turmoil inside me surged more than ever due to his brief touch. Strangely, I resisted letting things continue this way and struggled to get off him, but he held me tightly. My throat was sweet, unable to make a sound. Slowly, more and more people came out of the private room, and I saw Lin Xiaomiao's red, aggrieved eyes. My consciousness then sank into a deep, dark stupor. I was awakened by the cold. The shower continuously sprayed liquid much colder than my body temperature. The man stood by, watching me. His thoughts inscrutable. Give me my clothes. I tried to get up, finding my limbs powerless. His touch sparked a shiver. I abruptly shook off his hand. In fact, in my past life, I always treated Zhou Qingchuan this way. Temper is nurtured, and in my past life, his indulgence almost let me do whatever I wanted. Mr. Wang gave you a very new drug. Are you sure you can walk out? He looked down at me, his expression ambiguous. I worked in drug research and understood the lingering effects and antidotes for such drugs, and now, the perfect antidote was right in front of me. If it were the me from my past life, I would have clung to him by now. But now, I hesitated. Suddenly, the sound of a belt unbuckling lightly echoed. I shivered, then the clear water splashed lightly. He grasped the back of my neck. The kiss came suddenly. Here, I'll skip the part about the antidote's effects wearing off, which nobody likes to read about. It felt like I was being rescued from a torrential sea. My mind started to regain a slight semblance of clarity, and then, with all the reality of the moment, I slapped him hard across the face. His head turned sharply to one side. Zhou Qingchuan's features are strikingly handsome in an aggressive way, his eyelashes extraordinarily long. From my angle, they were dotted with fine droplets of water. He let out a laugh, like a flower suddenly blooming in ruins. You really know how to use and discard. The sound of trickling water still echoed around the bathroom. Through the shimmering reflection, I looked into his eyes, hiding countless secrets. Zhou Qingchuan, why did you guide Lin Xiaomiao? Whether it's because you pity her past self, or you genuinely fell for her, Zhou Qingchuan, if you have her in your heart, when it comes time to choose between us, don't choose me. I'm not someone who is very emotional, even after pondering most of my life. I still don't understand what liking someone truly means, but I view everything the same way. I want it all, the very best. If he is distracted, then he is worthless to me, and I am not lacking in worthless things. Lin Huan, his eyes clouded over with darkness, impenetrable. We've both been given a second life. We both know what the best path forward is, don't we? What? Is your logic telling you not to repeat the mistakes of your past life? Then just leave. I splashed water at him. He didn't dodge. Instead, he continued to look at me with those pale, sad eyes. Ah Huan, he called me, the name lingering on his lips, grinding away disappointment and resentment. It's not me who's repeating the same mistakes, it's you, stubbornly following the same dark path, unwilling to repent. Right, I froze, panic slowly magnifying within me. The man stood up, the world outside so dark, tied to his shadow. His gaze rested on me, my thoughts in turmoil. Next time don't let Director Wang handle things, he's too careless. He didn't dispose of the medication packaging properly. In the quiet of the bathroom, I listened to his every word, striking deep into my heart. That medication came from your lab, didn't it? He couldn't have known the formula before our collaboration. Today, so many saw me protecting you, that should be enough for you. With those words, the man left the bathroom. I lay alone in the bathtub, half submerged in darkness. I looked up, staring at the gloomy ceiling. Yes, that's enough. I can't lose. Director Wang might look a decade or two older than me, but he was actually my college classmate. Everything today was orchestrated by me. I gambled on whether Zhou Qingchuan would save me publicly. If he saved me, it would prove that our relationship wasn't as fractured as it seemed, and I could use him again as a leverage for my comeback. I won the bet. Now, there are probably many partners eager to contact me and restart collaborations, but why am I so afraid? The way Zhou Qingchuan looked at me when he left, I suddenly realized, my heart. It turns out I can also be so disoriented and panicked because of his disappointment. Destruction at the root is the relentless redemption of the soul. Why do villains in movies and dramas live so long? Perhaps they are just like me, shameless, having abandoned too much. As the year draws to a close, my position has finally been solidified once again. Lin Xiaomiao messed up several collaborations, and eventually, my father, the capitalist, shifted his focus back to me. Things were supposed to progress positively from here, but unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I had made too many mistakes and enemies in my past life. So, after 3 consecutive social gatherings, on my way home at midnight, I was abducted by several men in baseball caps and shoved into a white van without feeling any surprise. Who ordered you to kidnap me? I can offer twice the money. No, 3 times. Unequal negotiations always revolve around pleasing the other party. So as I was pushed into the vehicle, my mind was rapidly spinning. Unfortunately, they were unmoved, and suddenly a knife was pressed against my throat. TCH. They weren't after money, but my life. May I ask whom have I offended? Before I could finish my sentence, the knife had already pierced slightly into my skin. I shut up as a voice modified by a voice changer echoed in my ear. Don't worry, I don't want your life. I just need you to do something for me. The blade traced my veins, constantly reminding me that my life was hanging by a thread. Now, call Zhou Qingchuan, ask him for the key to the YDX2 formula. YDX2, I remember. This anti-cancer drug was about to be launched, spearheaded by Zhou Qingchuan. Its release could potentially revolutionize the fields of medicine and pharmacy. Unfortunately, in my past life, both Zhou Qingchuan and I died on the eve of its launch. I was killed in a car accident on the way to the launch event, and he died running into the blazing inferno to embrace me, disregarding his own safety. We're not buddies, I'm just his ex-wife. Do you think I can get something so important? But hearing the kidnapper's demand almost made me laugh. It might be the illusion I created that deceived them, making these people think that Zhou Qingchuan was still the same person I could summon or dismiss at will. Only I knew that even if I died now, it wouldn't cause him a ripple. Tell him you've been kidnapped. Tell him you're going to die. The blade finally drew a line of blood along my neck. The man eased up a bit, then pressed the knife tip against my chest. I really had no choice. From his tone, he wasn't lying. If I couldn't get the key, I definitely wouldn't survive the night, but YDX2 was essentially all of Zhou Qinchuan's life's work. Those people wanted the formula probably to launch it before he could. If I actually managed to get it, it would ruin Zhou Qinchuan's life, the brilliant and great future of Professor Zhou, compared to the life of a villain like me. It was clear I should sacrifice myself, but unfortunately, as I said, I'm a selfish person. Give me the phone, I can only say I'll try my best. The man seemed pleased with my compliance. Before the call connected, I prepared myself. First, I needed to use a perfectly pitched crying tone, then add a tremble to my voice, say to him, Zhou Qinchuan, I'm about to die, please save me, because he always fell for my act of submission. This way, the chances of success might not be 70 or 60%, but definitely 30 or 40, but the moment the call connected, my mind went blank. Hello. Hearing his softly responding voice reminded me that it had been 4 months since we last spoke. I thought for a long time, Lin Huan, shouldn't you be the most selfish person? Lin Huan, don't you care about your own life? Lin Huan, you already owe Zhou Qinchuan so much, what's a little more? But in the end, as I looked up at the moon outside the window, tonight's moonlight was just too beautiful. I said, Zhou Qinchuan, happy birthday. I said, you're such a fool. Lucky that today happens to be your birthday, don't fall for me in your next life, dummy. I lunged towards the tip of the knife, wondering what the greatest failure in life is, a miserly, selfish ghost. One day, I gave everything generously, it's so shameful. I've thought about being a good person, if I were born into an ordinary family, with a father and a mother, if I hadn't been kicked and pushed around by everyone from childhood. It's not that I don't want to be a good person. It's just that if I've lived until now, I couldn't possibly be a good person, but the definition of a good person varies from person to person. I bankrupted a company, sparing its owner the pain of experiencing its future failure. Am I not a good person? I'm too good, actually. However, I think Zhou Qinchuan is a good person in the conventional sense. After all, he's lived an upright life, never doing a single despicable thing. So, when he got close to me, all I could think about was destroy him. Destroy him. I couldn't destroy him. He's incorruptible, a world apart from me. I remember one night, after we became an item, he rose from me. I suddenly hooked my arms around his neck, our faces so close, his breath on my face, his intense gaze burning into me. Would you love me, even if I were a bad woman? I asked him, almost playfully. His Adam's apple bobbed gently, then he stared at me, his sincere black eyes fixed on me. He said, I would. His fingertips touched the most sensitive part of my spine, biting my shoulder, softly enduring. When have you ever not been a bad woman? So I had already ruined him. There was no denying it. The world changes. I don't believe in 100% true feelings in this world. The only thing I'm sure of is his love for me. He managed to do something so difficult. So, if one day my broken life could have a glorious end, then I would reluctantly allow him to give it a grand finale. I stared at the ceiling, moving up and down. Is this heaven? Impossible. Not because heaven looks too much like a ship's hold, but because of the person sleeping next to me. How could Zhou Qinchuan and I possibly end up in the same place after death? You're awake. The person next to me glanced at me lightly, then pulled the slightly slipped blanket back over my shoulders. Where are we? On the high seas. We're probably approaching Copenhagen soon. That's quite a drift. Why didn't I die? You want to die that badly? I turned to look at him, his eyes dark, his complexion not so good, and his gaze a bit fierce. I raised my hand, stroking his stubble. So you came to save me after all. What's the cost? Zhou Qinchuan, give up the identity of a medical scholar, hand over YDX2, never to involve in this field again, nor step half into the country's territory. Right. I turned my head. The ship's rail framing the surging waves. The ones who orchestrated my kidnapping were led by my father. I should have known. My rights are too heavy. He needed to pave the way for his own daughter. In the end, I'm still just a stray dog that anyone can kick around. The sea breeze carried a faint, moist scent. I leaned next to him, tightening the blanket around me. Zhou Qinchuan, don't you have even the slightest grievance? He stared at me. Ah Huan. There are many things that I just do if I feel like doing them. I've tried taking a different path in life, but it wasn't what I wanted. In this world, everything is rigidly defined, everything in black and white. But for you, I can break all the rules. In the dimly lit cabin, he gently touched my hand. If it means following a path to the end with you, then I'm ready to spend another lifetime by your side. I'm so infatuated with you, especially when you gave up your life for me. I really hate myself, my life is already a mess. What does it matter if I let go of my pride for you? He asked me what I was smiling about. I just think, this world is hellishly fair. I looked up, I have nothing left, but I still have you, you have everything, yet you're stuck with me. I quietly said to myself, Zhou Qinchuan, let's not meet in the next life. I rubbed the tips of his fingers, then our fingers intertwined. This lifetime, let me protect you. Letter to Lin Huan. Yesterday, Mrs. Smith next door told me she saw you pacing at the garden gate for a long time before heading home. This morning, you rushed out of the door without a word, using grocery shopping as an excuse. I think you must have heard the news from across the ocean. YDX2 is indeed my life's work, and I had anticipated the unprecedented success it would bring to the Lin family. To be honest, I find the torment of not having spoken to you for 11 whole hours far greater than seeing my efforts used by others. I know we feel differently about matters of the heart. You can't understand my love for you, a feeling that for me transcends conventional meaning and even life and death. Therefore, you don't need to worry about hurting me. After all, your mere attention is a gift enough for me. You hid in your room last night and cried. I heard it. I felt contempt mixed with pity and annoyance, yet also a thrill in my heart. It shows that you care about me, and this slight concern makes me tremble with excitement. Almost desperate to hold you and kiss you, I constantly suppress these pathological, frantic thoughts, an assault of my mind upon you, my sin. So, you don't need to blame yourself, you don't need to, just keep doing what you want to do, whether it's being flamboyant or humble, as long as it's what you want. By the way, to answer a question you always ask, why did I fall in love with you? I've said it many times before, that day, when your father brought you to the door. Your brown scarf gently slipped from your shoulders, I saw you. What I mean is, loving you needs no reason. Because it's you, there's never been a reason.